We want to welcome you this Monday, the 17th of February, to the Marcia Weeks show. And what a pleasure it is for us to have you joining us, all of you from the loyal opposition, and those of you who are joining us from other venues, locations, for other reasons. As a matter of fact, even if you're a supporter of government, we certainly want to welcome you to the Marcia Weeks show tonight, the show that tells you the truth, shares with you information, and has a host of guests on that certainly cause great enlightenment. As a matter of fact, as I journey around the country, I run into so many people who are telling me that they did not know a lot of what we are talking about was happening in the country. So, welcome to breaking news, if you want to call it that, and to the show that tells you the truth. And I'm so glad that you are able to join us this evening. We have a great show lined up for you tonight. There's going to be some updates and some sharings. I'm going to touch a little bit myself on some of the happenings over the past weekend, and certainly we're looking forward to you calling in at 9 o'clock. Remember, please, 9 o'clock is your opportunity to be a part of the show. To give us a call at two, I think it's 2367000. If my memory serves me correctly, I believe that is the correct number, and we are certainly going to be looking forward to you being a part of the show. You see, it's not just about us, and it's not about me or Marcy or Glyne, because there's no I in team. We are a team. And so you are a part of this team, the loyal opposition, and we want to have you contribute and make an input into the show tonight. So 9 o'clock, remember that, 2367000. Get on your phone and give us a call. So let me welcome some of you tonight. Sir Alfred Benjamin, I see you are here with us tonight. Again, I want to thank you all the way from Brooklyn, New York. And we really appreciate you coming on in. I think one night we'd had, no, not one night, a few nights we've had persons from the United Kingdom, and they're like 4 or 5 hours ahead of us, which means that they're joining at 11, 12 o'clock their time and going all the way through until 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, that is absolutely amazing. And so we really appreciate you all from the United Kingdom, those of you that are joining us from Canada, Taroni Hall, welcome again tonight. Vernon Garns, pleasure to have you. And of course, the Queen Bee, Sandra Brewster, and Nat Grant. Great to have you with us tonight as well. Thank you for joining back with us this Monday evening. Jacqueline Aline and Judy Jills. Judy, a pleasure to have you joining with us. And yes, Judy, you know, very often we forget to make mention of Dave, but I do want to take that opportunity and mention Dave tonight, who does such a tremendous job keeping us, in the loop, so to speak, with all the technological stuff in the background, the videos, the bringing up of the presentations, and all of that stuff. He's just so tremendous, and we want to give him a shout out tonight from the loyal opposition of the Marcia Week show. Marcia, thank you again for being here. I know you're going to tell me exactly when I need to play that national anthem. Matthew Brown, pleasure to have you with us tonight as well. Camillus Lewis, I hope I have that right. Camillus Lewis, Monica Ince, a pleasure to have you join us. Good night to you as well. Jacqueline Ward, hi to you too. Good night and God bless you. A pleasure to have you joining us tonight. Judith Ann Clark, good night to you as well. Good night to the loyal opposition. Absolutely. And Tyrone Blackman, and it was such a great night to have you, Sharon Innes. All of you that are joining us, Victor Lewis, pleasant night to you as well. Victor, I hear you had a great event. All of you really had a great event yesterday at Joe's River. We'll be touching a bit on that in the show. I'll be touching on it at the beginning, just to indicate a few things, but certainly, unfortunately, I was not able to make it. But I know that it's a group perspective, and I was happy to see so many, as the media described it, protesters taken a stand. Several frustrated Barbadians vented their concerns about beach access, and not just about beach access, but we have to also pay attention to what's happening on our west coast. We need to pay attention to what's happening on our West Coast. And I think there's been much voice with regard to that, and many concerns. And I think it's something that government should put on pause and talk with the people of this country about before you sell off anything to do with Barbados to overseas persons who do not appreciate the history and the heritage of Barbados. They don't even know anything about us. They come in here, they see a beautiful country with beautiful property, and it's on the beach where they are not able to get, and they want to buy it. And rather than try to preserve our heritage, we see this administration just willy-nilly going ahead and getting rid of it and selling it off to any and every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Now, I'm going to be very specific because this is the Prime Minister's portfolio. She is responsible for planning and development. Nothing can be happening in this country without her approval, and it is very concerning when we see the Prime Minister granting permission for these developments to be happening in the country in areas that will forever change the heritage of our country. Now, we have passed the 200 mark. I'm going to quickly move to the national anthem and come back to this protesters taking a stand, along with some comments I want to make about the government's borrowing and so on. But we do want to respect our country, listen to our national anthem, be a part of our national anthem and our national flag. Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of the Republic of Barbados. And join me with our national pledge, the National Pledge of Barbados. I pledge allegiance to my country, Barbados, and to my flag, to uphold and defend their honor, and by my living to do credit to my nation wherever I go. Every politician who has ever sat in Parliament has made a commitment to the maintenance of our national anthem and national pledges content, along with making a commitment to the Constitution of this country. Before I even go into what I have to say, and if I don't get into it because of what I'm about to say, that's fine. I want to take my time unhurriedly, and I'm going to try to be cool and collected this evening by looking at the national anthem. Because when one views what is currently happening in our country with the disbursement of our properties in very strategic locations and very historic locations in Barbados, it ought to be a concern for every single Barbadian. Listen to the words of the national anthem's first verse. In plenty and in time of need, when this fair land was young, our brave, listen to it now, our brave forefathers sowed the seed from which our pride is found. A pride that makes no wanton boast of what it has withstood, that binds our hearts from coast to coast, the pride of nationhood. There is a pride that is arrogant and destructive, but there is a pride that is a proper estimation of oneself. And that is what this national anthem is talking about. It's not suggesting that we are greater and better than anyone else. What it is saying is that we know who we are and we are proud about who we are and we embrace who we are from coast to coast, binding our hearts together. The pride that makes no wanton boast of what it has withstood. This was written for Barbados when it became independent in 1966. And it withstood a lot then when Barbados was a colony of the United Kingdom, and the United Kingdom did whatever it wanted from the day we were discovered until November the 30th, 1966. And from that time, and even before, we as a country have fought, our forefathers have fought for the nation of Barbados from the parish of St. Lucy to the parish of Christchurch. The second verse says this: the Lord has been the people's guide for past 300 years. With him still on the people's side, we have no doubts or fears. Upward and onward we shall go, inspired, exalted, free, and greater will our nation grow in strength and unity. I want to ask you, has Barbados been growing over the past 6 years on the national platform, or has somebody been growing on the national platform? How has Barbados been highlighted? Yes, Rihanna comes from Barbados, Gary Sobers comes from Barbados, Everton Weeks comes from Barbados, Mia Motley comes from Barbados, but at the end of the day, people look to Barbados. That's what they want to see. But have they really heard and seen Barbados in our political presentations overseas? Or are they only hearing about a climate crisis? Because it would appear to me today that everything that happens in the world is as a result of climate change. I don't want to take any time on that tonight. I have some very strong views with regards to the matter of climate change, because I want to know, all of the people who are pushing this climate change matter, why are you developing the coastlines if all of the oceans are supposed to be rising? A former president of the United States, an ardent supporter of the Green New Deal and the ardent supporter of climate change, bought a massive property on the beach. Why? If you believe that what you say is going to be true, then you ought to stay off the coast, but you're not. I will leave that there, because I don't want to get into that tonight, because there's a lot of evidence that tells us comprehensively different. I'm not going to touch that tonight. Let me go on with the national anthem. Listen to the chorus. We loyal sons and daughters all do hereby make it known, these fields and hills beyond recall are now our very own. Dave, please bring back up that article with regards to the protesters that went to Joe's River, because this line of the national anthem runs contradistinctive to what is happening in Joe's River and what is happening on the West Coast. These fields and hills beyond recall are not our very own. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. Are now, But if you wanted to really say this national anthem as we experience it today, we would have to say are not our very own, because we are seeing from the barracks at the garrison all the way into Bridgetown being sold off to foreign investors. We're seeing the entire West Coast, including historic facilities and places in the whole town area, being sold off to investors from overseas, none of who know anything about the history of this country. We are seeing places such as what persons experienced in Joes River, and you would have read about in the newspapers over the weekend. You would have seen it, I believe, if not the weekend, today, yes, I believe it was, you would have seen the protestors, I almost says Protestants, but they're protesters too, lobbying government for years, made it clear that they were prepared to take additional action, because we are watching, and I'm not going to get into the name calling of any individuals, because it's not about the Australian businessman. It's about what our government is permitting with regards to the overall divestment of our national interests, our property, our soil, as the national anthem says, our fields and hills, which we declared on the 30th November 1966, are now our very own. We write our names on history's page with expectations great. Listen, strict guardians of our heritage. That is why we stand with these protesters with regards to Joes River, and those who would stand against the development of whole town. We stand with them because we are strict guardians of our heritage. We ought to be maintaining spaces in this country that speak to our history. Some people may not agree with me. I did not agree, and I have my right to express my opinion. I did not agree with removing Nelson's statue from Bridgetown. You know why I didn't agree with it? Because had it not been for his victory at the Battle of Waterloo, we would not be speaking English today. We would be speaking French. That's a very important matter concerning the history of our country. You replace it with what? Something that says nothing about our country, nothing about our heritage. And I'm going to be very frank, some ugly disdain contraption that has been placed in the spot where he is. You didn't even have the common decency, if you had anything in mind, to move Mr. Barrow's statue from Independence Square there if you wanted to do anything. But you're going to put down something that I must tell you the truth, I don't know the meaning of it. Maybe some of you do, and you will have to educate me on that. But it is the most horrific image I have ever seen. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it stands for. But one thing I can tell you, it says nothing about the history of this country, the fields and hills beyond recall, which are now our very own, guardians of our heritage, craftsmen of our faith. It says nothing about our heritage. And all I can see, wherever I turn, every day I open up the newspaper, I listen to call-in programs, I listen to the news, I can hear the Prime Minister. I have to say the Prime Minister because she's the minister responsible for planning and development. She is the person who has the power to stop it and to say to them, no, you cannot develop that area, or if you develop that area, we're going to bring together a grouping, a committee or whatever, who will help to formulate a strategic plan with regards to maintaining the heritage of the area, the site, while embracing and balancing the development aspect, keeping that development in such a manner that it communicates the history of this country. How many of you view Grenada? Have you seen Grenada's capital, St. George's, and see how lovely the heritage of Grenada is being maintained in spite of development? Oh no, we want to get rid of all this stuff and replace it with ugly, modern architecture that we're taking away our heritage and replacing it with something that has no connection whatsoever to the people of Barbados. None. And it is disappointing, to say the least. with all the properties that are available. If you want to build, there's a lot of land inland. Don't talk to me about coastland. The coast is a part of Barbados, a part of Barbadians' property. It is a part of our fields and hills, which are now our very own, not to divest the investors because you want to make money. If you want to make money, start setting up manufacturing sectors and other things of that nature. Look at how beautiful that imagery that we're looking at there. I believe this is, I'm trying to look at it. I remember there used to be a place there on the left that sold some of the best fudge and so on in the country. This is the kind of, why can't we see this kind of integration? You see the modern on the left and the antique on the right, beautifully blended to incorporate each other and complement each other. Why can't we see that in Whole Town? Why are you moving the civic center? If that's what it is, I believe that's what it is. I can understand, okay, I give you a break on the police station and the courts and so on. But anything that was placed there within the context of the discovery of Barbados by the Europeans, they were not the first settlers here. When they arrived here, the Arawaks were already here. They're not the first settlers of Barbados. Okay, let's get that clear. But we need to be able to incorporate. And no courtesy has been extended to the people of this country by this administration, with some significant changes that are coming about with no consultation with the people. Not that I'm aware of. I don't know that any consultation was made with the people of Barbados with regards to the development at Whole Town. I am not aware of it. And if anybody is aware of it, by all means, please educate me with regards to the matter. I am not aware of it. I took a drive one day all the way down past Six Men's. And I was stunned to see how little of the Atlantic Ocean I could see. Stunned. Sorry, not the Atlantic Ocean, the Caribbean Sea. I think it would be Caribbean Sea. Yeah, the Caribbean Sea. The Atlantic Ocean is on the east side. My apologies. The Caribbean Sea. I was stunned. From the time I left, all back up by Jordan's supermarket, driving all the way down, I'm looking to my left and I'm saying, but I can't see the ocean. I can't see the ocean. Property after property built and developed, and hardly a place where a Barbadian can get through to the ocean to have a sea bath and to relax for picnics. And you remember how many picnics we used to have on that West Coast? We need to protect our heritage. And I will let that rest there. The second thing quickly I want to touch on, I must tell you the truth. I am absolutely disgusted with the conditions of our roads in Barbados. Absolutely disgusted. You can't buy a car in this country that doesn't get knocked about on every single road. Don't talk to me about no mill and pave. I don't want to hear anything about no mill and pave, because you were in office since 2018. You came into office. You got a $200+ million loan. I think it was from the Inter-American Development Bank for infrastructural renovation and so on. And we've been pouring money nonstop for that entire time. And you are now finding it to do roads. And the thing about it is, every single road in this country is bad. Every single one of them. This country is going to need a rehabilitation program of roads for the next 10 years, starting from now all the way through. I don't care what administration it is. This is not to do with the BLP, the DLP. All of them have failed when it comes to the maintenance of our infrastructure in Barbados. All have failed. And it's time we get them out of the picture and let people who know what they're doing work on our roads. It's disgusting. You can't, as a matter of fact, I believe we're getting roadblocks in certain areas because people are deviating from those roads that are bad, trying to find a road that is good that they can actually drive on. And we're paying taxes. We are paying significant taxes at the fuel pump every time we fuel a vehicle. I am told, I believe it was Kimar that indicated that we were actually in terms of, I think, the sewage tax, paying $80 million a month to the government. That's nearly $1 billion a year. Where has it gone? The money we borrowed to do our roads, where has it gone? Don't talk to me about mill and pave. You just started to do that late last year because of the cricket. This should have been done from the time you came into office. You should have started this program. If you did then, we would have been a long way coming now. I'm going to leave that because I want to quickly move away along with a couple of minutes I have left. And I want to touch very quickly on an article I saw in the Nation News from one of our leading economists and former lecturer in economics, banking, and finance at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus, a former cabinet minister in a previous BLP administration, the Mr. Anthony P. Wood. And he has raised the same concerns as I, a non-economic guru, have been raising, and you know I've been raising. When are we going to develop income for this country? When are we going to stop borrowing money? I hear us talking about the foreign reserves. The foreign reserves are being propped up by borrowed money, not by export. It's not being done by exportation or even alone by the tourism sector. It is almost the only thing we're depending on at the moment. We tell me, what agriculture are we exporting? What manufacturing are we exporting? Somebody tell me, what are we exporting from this country? I hear about Barbados Export Division. How much are we exporting? We should be seeing that in the estimates coming up, because I've heard and been made to understand, I think the estimates have been laid in the House, and we are over $1 billion in deficit. I believe it is more than that when you consider Barbados is 15 point something million Barbados dollars. And I think we're being very conservative, because when I look at the international environment, I am seeing Barbados 8.3 billion US dollars in debt. My mother used to tell me, if you borrow money to pay borrowed money, you're simply digging a deeper borrowed money hole. One of my fellow ministerial colleagues, the Reverend Dr. Holmes Williams, used to say, when your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep becomes your downfall. If that's the case, Barbados is heading down at one rapid rate. You're going to be taxing the people into eternity in order to pay the amount of money that is going to be needed. The government is off track with excessive borrowing. This is what Mr. Wood has said, and I have on this program, you all know, I have repeatedly said this. He indicated this unprecedented and unanticipated action that is relating to the default component in the late 2018 resulted in significant loss to foreign and domestic financial institutions and private individuals. Loss to them, not in terms of a reduction in our debt, loss to the financial institutions in the vicinity of 4 billion Barbados dollars, representing 25% of the public debt, which contributed to the debt being reduced from 15.84 billion to around 11.7 billion, because you did not pay the foreign and domestic financial institutions and private individuals their money. It's not because we made anything, but instead of that, we are borrowing non-stop. And I'm going to tell you my concern. I have grandchildren, and I'm deeply concerned about the massive debt collar that we are going to be leaving around their necks when we leave administration and leave this world. I will end my comments there, because I have already two of my wonderful guests in the room, and I want to bring them in right away, because we want to discuss some very interesting developments that have occurred in Barbados, in St. Vincent. And we certainly want to hear from them. Good night, ANESIA. I hope I have the name correctly. A pleasure to have you joining us again here on the Marcia Show. I remember you being on a while ago. I think this was pre or just about the time the pandemic was beginning, sometime in that area. At that time, I was not known in terms of the show, and I want to also take this opportunity to welcome Chef Lauren. I hope I have that right as well, Chef Lauren Ballantine, to the show
Yes,
as
that's
well. I
correct.
believe both of you are from St. Vincent. Am I correct?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. I have a great colleague of mine who runs a ministry there, Errol Daniel. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he has been a great colleague of ours down through the years, has joined me on many a crusade through the Caribbean. So I think I have a little bit of Vincy connection with you. So
Okay.
let me welcome you both to the show tonight. A joy to have you with us.
Thank you very much. Much
Thank you so
appreciated.
much.
Amen. And thank you, Marcia, and the show for having us. And grace and peace to all who are looking at this program at this time.
Thank you. You're more than welcome. Marcy is watching it too. Don't you doubt for a
Okay.
moment.
Amen.
Well, I'm turning it over to you both. I'm not sure who wants to go first because I think you all are dealing with two slightly different aspects, perspectives. Maybe Chef Lauren will be gentleman and let the lady go first, and let's show everybody that we still have a degree of gentlemanliness in the world.
Okay.
Thank
Dear
you so
me.
much, Dr. Ferdinand.
Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I actually am going to turn it back to Cheflon because
Okay.
we spoke briefly and we decided that he should give the update about his book, No Dress for Timmy, first.
Yes.
And then we will
Yes.
use as much time as we have left to talk about the developments with respect to the ruling that was
Yes.
recently handed down by the Court of Appeal.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Great.
So go ahead,
Go
yes.
right
Cheflon.
ahead then. Go right ahead, Chef Lorna.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ferdinand, and thank you, our dear sister Marcia, for inviting us on tonight.
Amen.
Um, what I'm going to talk about briefly is something that I know Marcia was heavily invested in
Hmm.
because of
Hmm.
the nature of um, what happened to a particular book, small, harmless book called No Dress for Timmy, which I
Hmm.
authored in 2018 and which was banned even before it was offered publicly on Amazon, even while it was at the stage of pre-order. It was not yet available, yet Amazon banned it. Thank you so much for bringing up that graphic. So in 2018, this book was banned. In 2019, it was banned again after it was reaccepted by Amazon for about roughly a week. And interestingly, within that week, it became number one bestseller in one of the categories, which
Wow.
shows that there was a high demand for it. This had some international influencers' attention, and they
Hmm.
spoke about it. They were able to galvanize support for this book because of what the book
Wonderful.
stands for. You see, Not Just for Timmy is a story of a little boy named Timmy who had to face activist teachers who were pushing transgender ideology within the classroom. It was presented, the story was presented within the context of activism from the leftist socialist activists to show what a child needs to know and how they can have courage to stand up against these gender ideologies and fight back with knowledge, with truth from the scriptures. Brings to view the role of parents, fathers in particular, within the home, and it also shows in a to a very large degree that children have consciences and children will be judged by God the very same way adults are judged based upon their consciences, and they should be allowed to speak the truth based upon their consciences, which includes correcting a friend if the friend is in wrong, and even a teacher. So, without saying much more about the plot, it's a very, very important tool in the hands of children, and it is back up on Amazon after a few years being banned by Amazon. And we are happy for that. We believe it is because, like Sister Nita, well, she said the other day, a new sheriff is in town, and
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes. It is
I
true.
Trump
It is true. If I
administration
could just
campaign on,
definitely.
yes, the Trump administration campaign against censorship and the campaign in favor of the correct view of gender. People came out in their numbers to vote against the prevailing view that
Yes.
was being pushed by the
Yes.
leftists in the United States of
Yes.
America. And when Trump won,
Yes.
I had to conclude that America proclaimed no dress for Timmy. And so when we made that attempt to put it back up about 2 Saturdays ago, it was accepted and it is currently on Amazon. So if you go on Amazon,
Wonderful.
you will see No Dress for Timmy in both paperback as well as Kindle. And we say praise God for that.
Yes, amen.
Right?
Amen. Yes.
In addition to that, those who are listening to this from across the region, I can tell you, because No Dress for Timmy was banned. There it is, No Dress for Timmy. You see that? Yes. Because No Dress for Timmy was banned, we had to reach over into China to actually get it printed. So I have copies, hundreds of copies in my possession. And if you are in the Caribbean and you need No Dress for Timmy en masse, you can contact me. You may want to distribute it to schools, to churches, and so on. Let me know, and I'll be happy to converse with you as to how to get it into your hands. All right. So Amazon lifted the ban, and we say praise God for that.
Amen.
Yes. Amen. Amen. Wow.
I you know, Brother Shefflon was making the point, and Brother Shefflon, I don't know if we have time that we could share a little piece of it. As Marcia was telling me I could share, but I hope I remember how to do this. I remember over the years, I haven't been on StreamYard for a while. That's why I said that. I remember over the years, there is this one YouTuber by the name of Mark Dice, right? He has been instrumental in repeatedly talking about this book. And I think it's so significant because there is an author from a little church in the Caribbean who is spreading, and Brother Shefflon, Ballantine. And here you have this YouTuber from America who's very concerned about the way conservative views and thinking are being censored, the ways in which they're being censored in society. I'm trying to get the thing to share it. And he picked up on what had happened with No Dress for Timmy, Mark Dice. And he, at least three years in a row, this man was playing in his YouTube videos. He was indicating that this book had been banned on Amazon. How do you do this again? You bring in the video and then you play it? How does it go?
You're asking, you know, they refer to me as monkey handling gun when it comes to this kind of things. There it is.
Timmy is excited about career dress-up day. Then he discovers his friend's secret. George is planning to come to school as a princess. George thinks he's a girl. Should Timmy think of George as a girl too? What should Timmy do? The class is told to compliment each other and to be kind. Timmy begins a journey that will test his courage and friendship. He learns that sticking to the truth can result in unexpected consequences. Get this biblically sound book in the age of political correctness. No Dress for Timmy by Shefflorn Ballantine. illustrated by Tarangana. He highlighted this book, which is a real children's book, called Big Wig. There's a whole bunch of these now. I've covered
This
them
is
in the
Mark
past,
Dice
like
talking
Jacob's
about
New
the book
Dress. And again,
year
this isn't
after
even
year,
about
as you will see.
transgender children. They just want young boys to do drag and to wear dresses.
2022.
Of course, Amazon banned this book years ago, No Dress for Timmy, which is opposed to this kind of stuff. The liberals love banning books. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago now that they convinced or bullied Amazon into banning this children's book called No Dress for Timmy, which is about a young kid who decides to not go along with the cultural Marxist propaganda that his communist teachers were pushing on the children. For almost 30 years since Amazon was launched in 1995, they would sell any book, new or used. But recently, that all changed. In 2018, a children's book titled No Dress for Timmy was banned for being transphobic. It was written by SHEFFLORN and described as a story of a little boy who finds himself in a perplexing situation where he was forced to choose between speaking the truth and cheering on a friend who thinks of himself as a girl. The young protagonist basically wouldn't support a transgender classmate, and it's meant to teach children the differences between boys and girls. After an LGBT advocacy organization called Family Rhetoric discovered it when searching for LGBT-themed children's books, they launched a campaign to pressure Amazon to ban the book, which they did. The group later celebrated on their Facebook page. That was one of the first books that Amazon banned, but it didn't generate any press other than a blog post or two. For decades, the left has worked to get the Adventures of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn books banned from schools because they contain the dreaded N-word, which hurts black people's feelings. And To Kill a Mockingbird because it contains racial stereotypes. It also contains the little N-word. But when parents don't want adult content on the shelves for their young children to access, then the left cries that it's censorship. In 2018, Amazon banned a children's book called No Dress for Timmy, which is about a boy who refuses to go along with supporting gender bending at his school. But that didn't make any major headlines and was only mentioned in a few small blogs. Only a few YouTubers, myself included, covered this story at the time.
Right. So I think we could stop now, but I just wanted to show that look, he mentioned the book. He even published it. The picture that came up right after. He mentioned it in 2 of his books, right? 2 books that he published, and over the period between 2022 and 2024 up to last December. And we are really grateful to Mark Dice for this kind of exposure.
Yes.
And then you have President Trump coming out now and saying America will only recognize 2 genders or 2 sexes, male and female. And we know it had some impact on these publishing agencies
Yes.
like Amazon and so on. So we are very thankful, and I want to join Brother Shefflin in encouraging persons, get the books for your children, your cousins, your grandchildren. You know, let children get this book in their hands and help them to learn the will of God with respect to them and family and God's will for society that is true morality.
Amen.
Well, you know,
Amen.
I really appreciate you taking the time to share this with us and to know that that ban has been lifted. Yes, President Trump has made it very clear, common sense science that we learned from the time we were in school. There are only 2 genders, and I'm sure you know Marcia had her own experience here in Barbados during a National Cultural Foundation segment here in the country with a show that they wanted to silence our Christian views. Even Europe today is expressing deep concern of the loss of their Christian heritage. And if we don't stand up and defend our Christian heritage, it certainly is going to be lost. So we just want to hail you out, SHEFFLORN, for standing firm and not backing down. And this is the kind of thing we need from every single person, even from you, ANESIA, with your situation as well. Let's hear a little bit about that. Of course, that's if we're finished there, SHEFFLORN, with that
Yes.
aspect. And
Yes.
again, we congratulate you for a tremendous written novel there, a tremendous book that teaches our children that they don't have to conform to what is going on in the world around them. With tremendous value and a tremendous principle for our kids. So,
Amen.
ANESIA, tell us something
Just
about
before I go
your...
to Anita,
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead.
if I can just say, thanks again to Marcia, because she did a
Yes.
tremendous work. She actually sought my permission to get this book printed during the time when it was banned in Barbados, to herself, collaboration with other persons. I don't know if they'll want me to mention their names, but it was a tremendous effort of self-sacrifice, and many children benefited as a result of that.
Praise
I think
God.
they printed over 500 copies there in Barbados, and that was a wonderful thing. So thank you again, Marcia, for that. On
Amen.
behalf of
Amen.
children
Yes.
in Barbados.
Thank you so very much. Yes, indeed. And Marcia has done some sterling work down through the years, guys. She has broken through a lot of ceilings, trust me. A lot of ceilings.
Again,
Yes.
concerning what we have to talk about next, again, this is Brother Shefflon. You know, both of us will be talking about it because he was actually in the case at hand. All right. I believe by now most persons have heard that the what we like to call the COVID-19 jab mandate, we call it a Mexi case. We've received now the ruling of the Court of Appeal, you know, because in the first instance at the High Court, the ruling came back from Justice Henry in favor of the public servants who took the government to court over this mandate. And unfortunately, the Court of Appeal, 2-1, 3 judges, 2 voted in favor to allow the government's appeal because they appealed the ruling of the earlier court. So I'll let Brother Shefflin give a sort of overview and whatever else we can say about it, and whatever else the audience may want to know, we could talk about that, Brother Shefflin.
Well, persons may be aware, and those who are not, that in 2021, in the heat of the pandemic, which we call a pandemic based upon the reality, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines went to Parliament on August the 5th and into the 6th of August, that's in the wee hours of the night, all around 2-3 a.m. while the nation was sleeping. And they made an amendment to Public Health Act to pave the way for the mandating of COVID-19 vaccines here in St. Vincent. They did that by removing the word voluntary from the act and leaving it open for persons, for the government to later come and use it as a foundation to mandate vaccinations or vaccinations upon Vincentians. So that even while the St. Vincent Prime Minister was nursing a wound in a hospital in Barbados, which he suffered as he alighted his vehicle in a hostile crowd while protests was taking place on the 5th of August. So that shows you the persistence of this government to mandate something that was experimental. Later on in October, they put the certain rules in place and gave public servants, teachers, police officers, healthcare workers a deadline of November the 19th by which they must all be vaccinated. Persons resisted, and some persons resisted right down to the final day and changed their minds and went and took it. The matter was, and as a consequence of persons not complying, they were deemed to have abandoned their duties, and they were later fired by the Ralph Gonsalves administration here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You had hundreds of teachers falling on the breadline, and public servants as well, and police officers, because of that draconian mandate, which required them to take an experimental jab. Failure to do so results in the affected teachers and public servants. The court of first instance, which was adjudicated by Justice Esco Henry, she brought back a judgment on March the 13th, indicating that the mandate was, she didn't say draconian, but unconstitutional It was illegal. It was ultra vires. It was fraught with improprieties,
And
administrative
disproportionate.
improprieties. It was disproportionate. And she slammed that mandate into the ground. The government, the prime minister in particular, was not satisfied, and he decided to appeal the judgment. But first, he requested a stay from the Court of Appeal. Justice Webster granted the government the stay, and thereafter the government pursued an appeal to overturn every single one of the orders of the court. The appeal was heard on May the 2nd, 2024. That's about 16 months after the judgment was given by Justice Henry. And just a few days ago, we received the ruling from this Court of Appeal, which was a divided ruling. It was a majority judgment written by Justice Ventus, who overturned every single one of Justice Henry's points and orders, and threw us back into our original position as teachers, as fire teachers, where we are at the mercy of a cruel and wicked government for them to continue to keep us out of the classroom if they so desire. Now, it is a matter that is being deliberated by the unions as to what is the next step. Like Sister Nisa indicated, I'm one of the affected persons. As a lecturer at the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College, my wife also was fired, and we did not comply based upon our right to religious liberty, because we understood what the scripture says, that our bodies are the temple of the living God, and that we'll have to give an account to God based on how we treat our bodies. We understood all of that, and we refused to comply based upon faith from the scriptures. And that was totally ignored and cast aside. We applied for religious exemption under the rules, and none of our exemptions were honored. In some cases were granted, and then the excuse was made that no accommodation can be made for us within the public service. So that's a brief summary of the case.
Yeah, and that is indeed what happened. And I saw some of the comments, from persons saying that they would never forget what we went through and so on. And what I could say is that I'm sure Brother Shefflin would agree with me. When we got the results last Wednesday, it was like a dark day for us, because you just think about the situation. Almost 500 public servants, plus their dependents. Imagine the ripple effect and the amount of persons who are affected.
Absolutely.
Then you have a government. This is years now. The WHO has already said no more global emergency where COVID is concerned. But you have a government that was continually rubbing salt in Vincentian's wounds. And even when they talked about, they're saying to people now, oh, come back to work. And they've been saying that. But the problem is that they're telling the people who refuse to take the jab, they're telling you that you abandoned your duty. You failed to comply, even while they're telling you to come back to work. The same people who they refuse to give religious exemption to, they're saying, come back. But you told us you couldn't accommodate us. And what was like a light in that dark day was the dissenting judgment. When we read that one judge, British Judge Justice Walbank, anybody who is hearing us talk about this, I would advise you, go to the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal website and download a copy of this judgment in this matter in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and take a read of, it's about 100 pages, Justice Walbank's dissenting judgment, because it is very eye-opening as to what happened here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I am sure you will see your country in it too. These workers were not fired. Sorry, were not abandoning of their duties. They were fired. All of them went to work still, and only until they got letters, and in some cases were literally barred from entering the compound, that's when they stayed away. But they did nothing to show they had abandoned their duties. There's no reason why the government should be saying to them, reapply. No, you should reinstate them. Reinstatement, not reapplication. Do the honorable thing. Do the right thing. The emergency is over so long. President Trump himself has said he's reinstating the military officers who were fired under Mexi mandate, and he's given them full back pay. But this government over here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, this petty tyrant we have for a prime minister, wants the people of this country to bow to him, to quote unquote come back to Papa, like he likes to say, so that you must give your conscience over to him. You must agree with your oppressor that you abandoned your job when you know you didn't abandon your job. You must agree with your oppressor and lie about yourself when you know you worked up to the time they gave you your letter. When you read Justice Walbank's judgment, and Brother Sheff, and I think we could quickly pick out one or two short things. There's some eye-opening things that we want the Caribbean to know. So, for example, the first thing I would refer to Brother SHEFFLORN and my brother there and our viewers, Marcia, is the fact that Justice Walbank, in his judgment, when you read it, you can't even believe that these other two justices wrote the things they wrote and favor the government. Because it's as if they didn't do any work. Justice Walbank showed more research, more education on the issue than they did. And you ask yourself, what really went on here? What kind of influence took place upon these other justices, Ventos and Webster, that they could rule against the consciences, the liberty of conscience, against our constitution, against Vincentians' rights and freedoms in that manner, to support a government that's still trying to tell you, you abandon your duty when there's no more emergency. This is craziness. One of the things Justice Walbank did was he pointed out earlier clock in paragraph 169 of his judgment. He pointed out that when you compared St. Vincent and the Grenadines with the rest of the Caribbean, we had the least cases, and our mandate was a severe measure. Listen to this paragraph quickly. He said, in terms of the incidence rate for COVID-19 per 100,000 of population amongst CARFA member states, the three highest were Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and Suriname. St. Vincent and the Grenadines was surpassed. That is talking about rate of cases, incidents. St. Vincent and the Grenadines was surpassed by 12 states or territories: Aruba, Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, Bermuda, Curacao, Guyana, Haiti, Jamaica, St. Lucia, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago, all of which had a higher incidence per 100,000 than St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This warrants observation, as it presents the circumstance that the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, uniquely in the region, adopted the severe measure of requiring public officers to take the V word, you know the word, on pain of losing their jobs, despite being surpassed in terms of incidence per 100,000 by 12 other states or territories. The evidence does not disclose any reason why such a uniquely severe measure should be adopted in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Are you seeing what I am saying here, my dear people? Do you not realize that Ralph Gonsalves in SVG was the only government that treated us that way? Look how long we're dealing with mandates. This is 2025. And we had 12 other countries ahead of us in terms of incidents per 100,000 of the thing they were concerned about. Why? Why such a harsh mandate on us? The judge made that observation, and it is important because it tells me there was no big emergency to talk about. We used to take the stats and we used to weekly look at them and see how many recoveries, etc. And we used to show we hardly had anything going on here. but yet they forced public servants on pain of loss of job. Listen to me. My own sister-in-law took the thing. Two of the one called P, the one starting with P, and
Yes, yes.
she ended up with a rare autoimmune disease called aplastic anemia and
That's
died
right.
after about 2 years. Died and left two children to mourn, a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old, a 44-year-old young woman in this country who was a top English teacher at the top girls' high school in this land. These are the kinds of things we have suffered. And still this man wants you to force your conscience to say, yes, Papa, I should not have protested. Yes, Papa, I abandoned my duty. Please give me back my job. No way. Vincent Charles must not heed to that at all. Brother Shefflon? I don't know if he's there. He's there?
Yes, yes, he is.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I was just echoing there that it will never happen. We will not do
Now,
that. Those who are conscientious, I will not do that for sure. But let me just add to what you said, because this is a question that has baffled me and baffled the entire Vincentian population, the issue of abandonment. Because we were confident that the judges would be reasonable, that they will give the correct view of what abandonment means, in the sense that abandonment is a voluntary act. It is a way or a method of a person leaving his job, volunteering not to continue in his work. But here's what Justice Walbank said concerning the twisted redefinition of abandonment of duty. He said on paragraph 293 in his judgment, in his dissent, then what about those teachers, like the respondents, Miss Shanil Howe and Miss Novita Roberts, who gave evidence that they had not abandoned their jobs, faithfully showing up for work at their respective schools until they were issued with letters dated 13 December 2021, informing them that they had resigned their employment? This begs the question, how can it reasonably be said that they were absent from duty when they had presented themselves for duty? This is the judge asking this question in his dissent. Wow. And it is the only sensible question anybody can ask. You are present, fulfilling your duty. Look, my wife, for instance, while she was performing her duty at the St. Vincent Grammar School, she received the letter to say she abandoned her duty. How can you be working, fulfilling your duties, and at the same time abandon your duties? He said in paragraph 294, or what about those teacher respondents mentioned in the supplemental affidavit of SHEFFLORN Ballantine, who had been fulfilling their duties virtually through an online portal until their access was denied by their employer? How had they been absent from duty if they tried to log on to the online portal and did not have to leave their homes in order to perform their duty? And these are sensible people ask these questions. And Justice Walbank is a sensible man. I cannot with good conscience call Ventus Justice Ventus based upon that wicked ruling that has now saddled the entire Eastern Caribbean in a state where tyranny is justified. In the event of another pandemic, any government, any prime minister can decide to do exactly what our wicked prime minister of St. Vincent did to their citizens. Wow. This is horrible. This is horrible. So none of us abandoned our duties. We were fired by the Ralph administration.
Absolutely. And I just want to say, I know we are running with time, right? But there is one last thing, if nothing else, that we need the Caribbean to hear. You see, if it weren't for this dissent in judgment, we would know this, my brethren. In paragraph 177, do you know what was revealed to us by Justice Walbank? Somebody is telling me One justice is St. Lucian, one is Jamaican or something. Well, hey, we have, I'm sorry to say, but we have a white Caucasian British judge giving us more justice. Here is what he said in this paragraph. I think our government never told us, watch this. The government, this is the government of St. Vincent, the government allocated a budget. You tell me if this is about public health or not about somebody filling their pockets. The government allocated a budget of US $1,369,380 to its jab rollout campaign. Of this, US $234,380 was budgeted to come from the government's own funding. US $460,000 from external sources, including $410,000 from an, here it is, from an unnamed friendly government source. US $410,000 to push the jab campaign. And the balance of $789,380 was to be financed further. That's US dollars. Hear this now. Hear this now. The government disclosed its strategy to address the gap of $789,380 US dollars, as including raising a bank loan of US $1 million, a payment of US $368,000 from a trust known as the Musty Charitable Trust, a payment of $200,000 US dollars by way of an ALBA grant, and a further US $600,000 from a friendly government source, the identity of which was also withheld. So that's $410,000 plus $600,000. That's $1,010,000 US dollars was given to the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines by something called a friendly government source, and whose identity they withheld from us to push the jab campaign. And we are told the terms and conditions for the various financing sources, including in respect of funds supplied by foreign-friendly government sources, were not put in evidence. So the government of Ralph Gonzalez got over $1 million US dollars from something called foreign unnamed friendly government source. You don't tell us who they are. You don't tell us the terms and conditions, so we don't know what you promised them. We don't know what they have over us. And to do what? Push a jab campaign. So you had to make sure you rub it in Vincentian skin because you took $1 million. We don't know who gave you. We don't know what you promised. We don't know what they told you you have to do to get it. And then you ask us to believe it was about public health. And my family is dead. And a whole set of other people's family dead. If it wasn't for just this World Bank judgment, we wouldn't know this. And we have asked since. I have called publicly in a TikTok video and said, opposition members go to the parliament and write questions and ask the government to say who the unnamed friendly government source is. We have a right to know. During that disease time,
you do.
We were hearing certain people, like the gates of hell, was down in our Grenadine Islands. We were hearing about the gates opened. A bill of gates, I call it. And we don't know what they were doing there. And we don't know what deals are being made. But all we know, our people suffered. And government collected $1 million US, and they ain't telling us from who. You see the kind of thing that's what's going on, my dear Caribbean people? You could imagine what happened in your country too? Sell out our people for money. Why? If it is about public health, if it is innocent and pure and nothing sinister, why are you not telling us who? Why did the judge have to say the identity was withheld? Why you withhold the terms and conditions of the funding sources for your campaign? God have mercy upon us. This is what really happened in this country. It wasn't about public health. It was about money. And we don't know if it went into the consolidated fund. We don't know if it went into politicians' pockets. All we know, they took $1 million US dollars. They forced the jab on our people. They made our people lose their livelihoods, made them lose their jobs, make our people suffering. People have bank writing them about their mortgage. People have light bill and different things cutting off. Police officers having to sell plantain chips on the street, on the side of the street, sell sweets and all kind of thing. go into farming. Not that farming is wrong, but you had your career in police or whatever for 15, 20 years, and now you have to go and try plant some food because you're out of a job, because you wanted to protect your conscience. And meanwhile, government collect $1 million and nobody telling us who gave it and what they promised for it.
Well, you
We
know,
cry out for justice. We cry out to God. And we say, never again. You petty tyrant, Ralph Gonsalves, you will not be allowed to do this to our people again. And we hope that the people will show them. We hope the people will show them. And we need to know, Brother Shefflorn, if the public servants are thinking about going to the Privy Council, because they should. They should go to the Privy Council.
Well, I'm seeing in several of the articles that there's several articles, you know, ANESIA, that are being carried by the St. Vincent newspapers, by the Trinidad newspapers, by Loop Caribbean, concerning the aspect of the matter being taken up by the Privy Council in London. I see a number that is being considered. I will say we had our own situation here in Barbados. I think we were a little more flexible than that, but during all of that time, we saw that a lot of what was shared concerning the pandemic was a blatant lie. The U.S. Supreme Court, for that matter, the U.S. Supreme Court forced the pharmaceutical giant to reveal all of it. And very recently, it was also revealed that in one of the other companies that forced this whole matter upon us, no proper clinical trials, CDC and the FDA, no proper examination, which has now all come out. Trump's election has exposed a ton of stuff concerning this. It was even going on before, but of course, we know that that was being censored through a number of it. I had videos of my own with Dr. McCullough and Dr. Maloney taken down from YouTube and taken down from Facebook. Two tremendous experts. As a matter of fact, we have something upcoming very shortly, myself and several others, with Dr. Campbell and Dr. McCullough and several others that are going to be exposing all of this even further.
Excellent,
you know,
excellent.
and you have a lot of testimony now. You have a lot of evidence now, and I would suggest that there be no let up. There must be no let up. And you know, to say this to you, Chef, let me make sure I get the name correctly. To say this to you, Shefflorn and ANESIA, the people of St. Vincent are stronger than the Prime Minister and the government. You know, as you were speaking, you know, if the people wish, they could have shut down St. Vincent, and they still can. And they can refuse to be a part of any operation in the country. Yes, it may be a little disruptive, but in order to get justice, there are sometimes, you know, significant things that have to be done. And I must say that as I read the articles in the different media, you know, there is a lot now that we know that we did not know then, a lot that was exposed, because I'm looking at the judgment. If I'm correct, the judgment was in March of 2023. The original one was in 2023. There was a lot of information that was exposed by then concerning a lot.
Brother, even before, if I could just quickly show something on my screen. Is there a way to move your Is there a way to move your slide from the screen? Okay, let me do this quick. Are you seeing my screen?
Not as yet, but if you, yes, it's coming up. Yes.
Listen to me. The Prime Minister of this country mandated public servants to take that jab in November of 2021. Am I correct, Brother Shefflorn?
Yes, you are.
They claimed in, I believe it is Rule 3 or something of the statutory orders, they claimed that the purpose of the mandate was to prevent spread of that which they were concerned about. Hello, way before November 2021, we knew, even from the mouth of the pharmaceutical companies, that they did not know, or that they knew it couldn't stop that. You see what I have in front of me here? I did these slides. I'm not going to read every last thing. Just quick, watch here. This is an article dated December the 3rd, 2020, where Burla is quoted as saying, it is still unknown whether people who've been jabbed could still be carriers of the virus, able to transmit it to others. I think this is something that needs to be examined. We are not certain about that right now. He said, how are you going to mandate something that they don't know if they could stop spread? You think it's him alone? The FDA, by the 11th of December 2020, FDA admitted they had no data, no evidence that Pfizer prevented transmission of COVID from person to person. We have all the details here. How could you save public health by mandating a product that does not stop spread of the disease into the public service? You think we're stupid? Yeah, this is all FDA documents. They knew early o'clock, and then there was that famous video where the Pfizer, I just put it in a slide, where the EU parliamentarian, y'all remember? By October 2022, interviewed Pfizer representative about if it could stop transmission, and the woman admitted they never studied it. To see that it could stop transmission. We knew these things before. We were talking about it on the internet. We were doing lives, videos, radio program, TV program, and what did our government say to us? Oh, anti-vaxxers. Oh, conspiracy theorists. And meanwhile, forcing our people to take things that we knew could not stop what they said. They aimed to stop. And as a result, you were mandating an experimental, investigational product that was also risky because we were covering VARS, yellow card scheme, Udra Vigilance, VG access, and showing all the adverse events, but they didn't care because they got money.
Yes,
that is what really happened.
You know, I wish we had more time, ANESIA and SHEFFLORN, to engage this, because this is an area that I feel very strongly about myself. I have hesitated to do a lot here on the Marcia Week show because of some of the experiences that she has gone through. You know, several of her videos have been taken down because it was not inclusive of doctors. And I'm working with several doctors, with Dr. Campbell, Dr. Maloney, Dr. McCullough, to see if we can get them to come on to the show at some point in time, that they will be able to address this from a scientific and medical position, you know, from a doctor's position. And it's a pity that we couldn't share even more with you tonight. But I want to thank both of you. I know we have to move on to another segment of the show, but I want to thank both of you. First of all, I want to say congratulations to you, SHEFFLORN, for staying strong to making sure that your book comes into the hands of parents. It's happening all over the US right now, as I'm sure you all are aware of. There's a lot of pushback now happening in Canada, happening in Europe, it's happening in the UK, and you were one of the people right at the forefront of making that a reality, probably for many people around the world that you're unaware of. And ANESIA, thank you so much for being a part of that resistance and sticking to it. You know, sometimes people back away because of they're dealing with the government, you know, and they don't have the kind of financial resources available to them, because I saw that there were a number of entities involved in this case. And I believe that when it gets to the London Privy Council, I want to say it now, I believe you're going to see a turnaround of this verdict. I want to release that out of my mouth, and I think both of you know what I mean when I say release that out of my mouth. So I want to thank both of you for being on the show tonight. Thank you so much for coming and sharing, and we look forward. I know Marcy is going to be in touch with you. I personally look forward to sometime in the future engaging you both, even if I do that privately, you know, with some more information.
Thank you again. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you, everybody on YouTube and wherever else. God bless you. Love you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you. God bless you. Well, we're going to be moving to Marcia's aspect of being on the move. This is what she calls, goodness gracious me, Mike. Let me see if I can find it very quickly, but she's been out there on the road, doing a whole lot of stuff. You know, she's taken on a new persona, so to speak. But she's been out there on the streets with Mike on the move, and I believe they have some of that to share with us tonight. So Dave, if you have it available, you have it ready, let's bring up this Mike on the move.
Hello, everybody. This is Marcia Weeks, and I am coming to you live from, guess where I am? guess where I am? Oh my goodness, I'm going to let you see. We're coming to you live from Joe's River. Joe's River. Yes, you guessed well. It's Joe's River. That's where we are. And we told you that we are going to be here. And that's right over there. That's the fire for the breadfruit. The breadfruit fire that is happening right there. And we're getting wood, and they're getting the pots ready, and the food, and oh my Lord, you see this wonderful place here. You see how beautiful this is. Just the atmosphere, just being here is just so beautiful. All along here is the actual river. That people have so many memories of this river where they used to come here, they used to bathe, they used to wash the clothes, all the different things that they used to do. There's somebody there moving along there that's taking it in just to hear with his family. We saw them a little earlier and told them about what it is that they plan to do to this area, right? So they're seeking to block off the entrance to here, and we can only go over the bridge basically. So I'm going to show you exactly what it is that they're planning to do. So today we came down today. We came down, and we are February 16, 2025, and we are occupying Joe's River because we say this is our ancestors. This is what a legacy that's been left here for us. We're playing some dominoes, and we're going to just have a good time. You see the dominoes, they're ready, and Mr. Weeks is here. Who is that handsome man there with a mic in his hand? Who is that? That is Mr. Weeks. And yes, say good morning.
Morning.
It's not morning, it's evening.
Morning.
What are you doing there, sir?
Hungry. Got soup.
You want soup? Soup is down there. Well, he's getting the microphone set up because we're going to have a few speeches, and and then we have our music set up. So, he's setting up the music. This is our makeshift table. Joel here. Come. Yeah, so people are coming in. Come on, people are coming in, and I'm going to show you exactly what's going on. So right now I'm going up the little hill here, Joe's River. So I'm leaving the river and I'm climbing up. You can go and just come down. We'll help you. Yes. And people, so right here where you see this, I want you to understand, Barbadians. Understand with me. I want to make sure you understand. So that's the bridge there, okay? So that's the bridge. Okay? That's the bridge. Right? And then now look, attached to the bridge is this wall, okay? And the wall they started to build the wall. And this is the wall that Mr. Lewis was able to get stopped. Okay? And this is the wall here that they're building. And then they went and put on a caution tape. At the top, they put some steel there. And the idea is that we are blocked out. So if you look, so you see them going down. You see, look, they're going down. So they want, this wall is there to block them from doing that. You understand? The wall exists so that we wouldn't be able to access Joe's River. There is a wall that is there. That's the wall that they're putting up. The Australian is putting up this wall so that we are not able to do that, to go down into Joe's River. And I want you to understand it. I really want you to understand what is going on. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you so that you can actually see some more of the caution tape. So that's the caution tape there. That's going along here. And all the way here. You see? All the way here. Watch it. Watch it. So this is caution tape here that we are not going to touch. we know we are not going to touch it because it's the courts need to deal with it. There is an injunction on the building of this wall. However, from what we're understanding, even though there is an injunction, they went ahead and decided to put up this caution tape to tell us we cannot pass there. You see? The injunction was that this wall would not be erected. Do you understand? So if you look down inside right now, you see people are down there. They don't want us to pass here to go down. That is what they don't want to happen. That's our generator making a lot of noise there. And so we are here. Yeah. So yeah. Now that's the bridge right there. That's the bridge. Okay. So that's your bridge there. So I wanted you to get a good understanding. Hello. Oh, wow, they're so cute. Hi, Marcia. Yes. Perry? Nice. Great to have you. So Perry, this is actually the where they want to block us off from. So we now have to go and walk all the way. Right. So right now, because there's a wall, we can walk there. But when the wall is there, we are not going to be able to walk here. And over on this side, where you say, oh, but we could enter this side. Look, they're going to put a big gate right here. Okay, so there'll be a gate here, so we Barbadians would not be able to enter this way or this way over here. Okay, so like she's doing right now, you see the ladies going down there, right? We would not be able to go down. And on that side is actually cup and saucer, teacup and saucer. You ever seen it before? At some point, you should go ahead and look up. Then you'll enjoy it. Okay, all right. When you're done, you can explore. Okay, go that side and go down, and then you make a right. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Hi. You went that way? You went over the bridge. What's down that way? This way, there's a lovely spot down there called Teacup and Saucer where you get a. So what happened, what they're trying to do and why we're here, it's because they've sold this plot to an Australian developer who came and loved the country, but then decided to block us out. So he's going to put up, we can't enter here, and he's starting to put a wall here. So what we're doing, we've gotten an injunction for him to stop. But then he went and put a caution tape there. So this is a very contentious issue because there's a lot of history and heritage. Yes. Yeah. So so that's what you're not on camera. Okay. So I'm just, but you're going down. Come, let me show you a teacup and saucer. Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to take some of my tourist friends. Where you from? New York. You're from New York? Yes. And your first time to Barbados? Yes. Oh, wow. How long you've been here now? We've been here. Ooh. Yeah, careful. Hold. I'm holding the grape leaves. We're here for about a week. You're here for about a week. Yes. Okay. But we have good friends who are from the islands. Mm-hmm. Have property on the islands. Yes. So we're friends of the islands. Yes, that's nice. Celebrating a 50th birthday here. Oh wow! Yes. You are 50? Friend's 50th. Oh, cause I'm like, yes. Okay. Yes, okay. Half time. Yes. So see now they put up the signs are there, and that is horrible, and that is horrible. So we're trying to get all of that taken down. This way the train went over? Yeah, the train is somewhere on that side. Okay? Yeah. So this is our way to Teacup and Saucer. So we decided to come today and occupy for a time and just remind people. So no. We come here all the time. You're quite good. Okay. Yeah. So can you imagine they're planning with all of this life in the water, they're planning to put a wholeness center in the river. Right? So while it's great for tourists, it's bad for us. We are not going to be able to enjoy here again. If they do that. It's just overdevelopment. We don't mind people coming and buying land, but You know, if you
That's how it is back home. When people buy land, all of a sudden you can't use it anymore.
you can't use it
And
anymore.
we're actually impressed that Barbados is so open.
Yes, but what happened is that we have a new government. Well, no, they've been there about 6 years, and they've changed a whole lot of things. And one of the things that they've changed is that there's some of these kinds of places that should be kept for the locals. They are now selling it. So everything, when you turn around, everything is being sold.
It's okay to sell it, but you have to allow
Access. So we would right now, basically, he would block us off from here. We've been blocked off from this. This is teacup and saucer. Careful as you're walking.
You know what? There's nothing that victims are getting paid
Yes,
to allow him to do that.
that we realize that, and it's so sad. So this is what is teacup and saucer. So you see how it looks?
Yeah.
Yeah. so this is what it is, and this is a lot of people
mind
come
if I
here.
sit on it?
No, sit. A lot of people come, couples, and so I'm going to leave you all very soon and let you relax and just enjoy, right? So yeah,
I love it how we just came out of the mountains. Like,
There
we
you
just
go.
Came out of the woods.
there you go. And we want to be able to keep that.
Yeah.
Don't you enjoy that?
Yeah.
You just said you just came through all of that bush to this. You didn't mind the bush
No.
because it's part of it, huh?
Yes.
So we
absolutely.
don't want all of that development.
Yeah.
We just have to keep it clean, right? And make sure that we don't have any poison ivy there.
Yeah.
As you saw, there was none, right?
So we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, okay. All right, enjoy.
Keep in mind that your politicians are getting paid under the table
Yeah,
to allow him,
yes,
isolate you guys.
yes. Somebody's getting paid.
Someone's getting paid.
Yeah. But no, we say no. All right, enjoy. Okay. All right, good.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I'm Marcia.
Yeah, Angela, nice to meet you.
Angela, that's my middle name.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes, it meant sent one.
That's my grandmother's
Joseph. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice
Very
to
nice.
meet you.
Enjoy to the fullest.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right,
You're
good.
right.
Yeah.
All right, bye bye. Yeah. Oh, guys, that was so wonderful that we were able to meet that beautiful couple, Angela and Joseph. They are from New York, and I'm so happy to have met them. And they are there now enjoying teacup and saucer, as you can see, having a good time. Now, we took them through, as he was saying, we took them through all of this foliage here. And you see, this is what we have to understand, that tourists, they like these kinds of things, right? So we took them through all of this. All of this here is what we did. All of this foliage. So coming through here, they like it. They like the adventure. I mean, he did ask about poison ivy, but it's part of it. We've got to just, probably fix those steps there, right? Clean up the area, not of the leaves, but make sure we don't have any bottles and so on. And we want this place preserved. And so as it stands, the entrance that they walked in Barbados is the entrance that this Australian, along with the planning and development, because they would have given him permission, okay? They would have given permission. And we're saying, no, we can't do that to our island. We don't know, as the tourists are saying, somebody is being paid, okay? So here we are. See, you still seeing the track? Okay, so this is what would have taken us up to teacup and saucer. And I'm walking back out. All this beautiful foliage. Just pause and look at it. Yeah? Pause and look at it. Yeah? And they came and they enjoyed. What we're saying is that leave it. You can buy property, tourists. We're happy to have you. But you can't buy the property and then you decide that, we can no longer, you block it off for yourself to make money. No, that's not right. Okay, so I'm still walking in the pathway here, and this is going up. Now, straight ahead, you can see That's where that also belongs to the developer, it's alleged. And you would have seen him speaking to Mr. Lewis, coming out, flailing his hands. And so we don't know if he's going to come out today. But this entrance that you see right here will be a gate to block us. You think that this is right? You think that this is right? So right here, right across here, guys, right across here would be a gate. So where we just walk down to Teacup and Saucer, we would not be able to. So I'm gonna turn around very soon for you to see. But that's the property. That's the property up there. That's not enough that they have that beautiful view. It's not enough that they can look all the way and see over into the river and over into the sea. That's not enough. It's enough to stop us. It's enough to, to make it all about foreign exchange and make it all about business, But when we give up this part of our culture, what's happening? We're giving our soul. We are losing our soul, is what is happening. So it's right here, guys, that I just walked up and showed you. So right across here, all right? So right here, you see? They seem like they started to have put up something there. And then it would go all the way over here. They would block us again. Right now, I want you to know this, guys. It is the same developer that they gave us this bridge as a gift. Now, anytime you see people like they're giving you anything and saying it's a gift, it's no gift. Okay? It's no gift. So right now, this was given so that all we're going to be able to do when we come here, okay? So when you come to Bathsheba and you come up from the hill there, all right, and you're walking up as these people are doing, walking up, and as you are walking up, all that we're over here would be blocked with a gate. Over here would be blocked with a wall. So all you'll be left to do is to walk over on the beautiful bridge that the colonizers have built for us. Okay, so this is a bridge that they have given us, and the bridge was always there. Remember, so what they did a renovation and made it beautiful. So they gave us a beautiful wood to walk over on and to peep down, and we can peep down there, right? Where we can peep down on the water and everything like that. Okay, we can peep over here. We can peep at this, yeah. Right? We can peep over, but we can't. We're not supposed to go down in there. They don't want us to go down in there. You see? So that's the problem. That's the issue that we have. So look, you see, we can stay on the bridge and we can see this. It's beautiful, eh? But we don't want to stay from the bridge and watch it from the bridge. No, we want to be able to go down in the water, man. We can go down and we can put our feet in the water. We can cook at the stream. Look over on this side. Look at the aesthetics of this. Look at our food cooking down there. You can see it? Let me go this side here and see. Okay. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah, you can see? When tears are in. So that's it. That's the food over there. They're cooking, right? It's beautiful. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. That's a beautiful rock there, right? And all of this. And you know what? I want you to imagine how our ancestors used to use this river. Can you imagine the activity? People were washing and they're cooking and they're doing all of those kinds of activities, right? Imagine the legacy, imagine the heritage, imagine the stories that these rocks know, right? And we have so this is Soup. His name is Soup, okay? Soup, say hello. Hello. This is McDonald, and he's gonna give us the best soup ever, right? Yes, no. And who is that one in the front there? He's we're following him, He's a leader. And the soup left. That's Mr. Lewis, and he is the one who is carrying this cause, and it's good to have him. Hello. Yeah, enjoy Joe's River. Yeah, so yeah, so we're here working.
Wow. That is an amazing and absolutely amazing video. Marcy, we thank you for showing that to us and letting the people see what is at risk here. And again, as I shared at the very beginning of the program tonight, our government is supposed to help preserve this heritage. This is the words of the national anthem. We are firm craftsmen of our fate and protectors of our heritage. This is what the national anthem speaks about. And it's important for us to be able to do that. Uh, where am I going to carry my grandchildren to let them see all that has been happening down through the years, these significant milestones and these significant architectural aspects and natural aspects of Barbados that I grew up as a child learning from my parents. I spent a lot of time in St. Joseph with my father. My father's originally from Bathsheba and spent a lot of time in the Jules River area. I mean, I was a little thing then, don't remember a lot about it. In terms of all of the heritage of it, but my dad was able to show that to me because it was preserved. And even I remember as a child going to the barracks in by the garrison Savannah, and just being amazed by the red brickwork of the buildings and the defense force, the red brickwork and the guns that were sitting there, and he could tell me what it was all about. Even going to Gun Hill, up on Gun Hill. These are things that should be preserved, and this is what our government is supposed to do, and they're supposed to preserve our heritage. And it is very concerning when we see what is happening, where a lot of overseas people who know nothing about it. Listen, I found it very interesting that the tourists that Marcia shared with, these are tourists that are talking about some payment under the table in order to get this happen. And as I looked at the property, as Marcia was going back up to the property, I was just thinking to myself, but why do you need to block it off? You have such a beautiful property, a beautiful view. Why do you want to stop the people from coming through that area? There is something amiss here. And obviously, again, I put the responsibility firmly on the shoulders of the Prime Minister, because she is the minister responsible for planning and development. Nothing can happen in Barbados without her consent and her approval. GLYNE, such a pleasure to have you joining us tonight. I'm sure you've been able to watch all of what has been happening on the show already, and particularly, even interestingly, what we just watched with Marcia there in Jules River. And I think you would confirm that it is the government's responsibility to preserve the heritage of this country. That is what we elected them to do. Welcome, sir. A pleasure to have you with us. I haven't had you on with me for a while. Really nice to have you on tonight.
It's good to be back in your company again, Ferdy. And
Great
so
to
far,
have
it's been a
you.
highly energetic, show, and I want to commend the lady from St. Vincent. She's a
Yes,
powerhouse.
yes. I'm
I
telling
think
you.
she'd be terrific. She'd be terrific on a political platform. I think she would put some serious blows in Ralph Gonzalez. She'd be well prepared for it.
Yes, yes, she
But
should be.
yeah, but I want to thank you also for. First of all, let me thank Marcia for the video she showed us tonight.
Oh, yes,
It's hard to see.
absolutely beautiful.
It's hard to see still on a still photograph in newspaper or even on the show, but the
Yes,
video and how she has shown how the atrocity. This is
yes,
a cultural and heritage atrocity that has been attempted on the people of Barbados, no less.
yes, yes,
And
yes.
and like you said, the Prime Minister is the Minister of Plan and Development. This only could have been done through
With her
unless
approval.
they violated the conditions. This has to fall at her steps.
Correct.
Her and the
Correct.
board. The board although I mean the board can make their recommendations, and she has a final decision. But it says
Correct.
we had no indication about that the board is even still functioning because we've never had a word from them. But I
Right.
think what makes it so pathetic, really, I feel sorry for the Prime Minister. I tell you why. Because here she was in Africa, in Ethiopia a few days ago,
Mm-hmm.
challenging the African countries, attending the African Union summit, demanding reparations from the old colonizers for the damage done to us through slavery and the slave trade, etc. All right? There she's saying, let's fight for it, demanding that they have to make them listen. Etc. And here she was, we got a fight against one side of colonizers, but here she is as Prime Minister of Barbados, Minister of Plan and Development. She is allowing her decision, the board's decision, I have to say hers because she's the Minister of Plan and Development, and the board cannot override her,
Correct.
to allow another colonizer, a modern colonizer. I mean, it's contradictory. It's an embarrassment. It's shameless. How two different,
Despicable.
but she's on the international stage, putting on one act, performing one role. It's all right to perform on the stage, but in Barbados, underground, where it affects people's life, she's doing other things that, like I said, performing this cultural, this heritage, this atrocity on the people of Barbados, on the people of St. Joseph in particular, and the people of Barbados, and the visitors who've come to them. I do not understand, having had some association with planning, when it was the Town and Country Planning, when I represented the Prime Minister Adams on a review board, a review committee, to see this happen, I cannot believe, having read some of the legislation, I cannot believe that how this could. I would like the Prime Minister, and I'd like to welcome her back from her visit to Ethiopia, her performance on the international stage, and tell her welcome back to the real life. Now, this is the real. She's come back to earth now, literally and figuratively, and she had a lot of things to say. She had a lot of mouth in Ethiopia, but there's some issues that she's come back to. We like to have equally as much mouth about on Joe's River, on Whole Town, on the cost of living, on several issues in Barbados that are burning, affecting the public, and she cannot get a word out of her. So welcome back. I would say I saw her on stage. I listened to some of her, not all of her. It was too much to listen to all of her because, first of all, she was saying repetitive stuff that she said before. There's nothing new, penetrating, profound, nothing like it's just rehashing a lot of old cliche stuff, even quoting Bob Marley and other people. Well, that's her usual style. So, but I wanted so therefore there was nothing compelling. There was no new message to her from her. But so in that respect, I'm not disappointed because it was more of the same. What I was surprised about though was that the composition of her team to go to African Union Summit in Ethiopia. I know sometimes these organizations pay for some, if not all of your expense or some of your expenses for the meetings. So, but she was the Prime Minister, Minister Kerry Simmons. I see there was ambassadors, Alex McDonald and Sutherland from Kenya and Ghana, respectively. But and one of the main items of discussion at the conference was reparations. And the Prime Minister has appointed MP Trevor Prescott as special envoy on reparations and economic enfranchisement. So I would think that if anybody who should be there would be your special envoy on reparations.
Yes, I would
But
think
he was
so.
not there. He was not there
Right.
at all. And it makes me wonder because you all remember he also came in the paper some months ago, when there was this uproar about this proposed to buy Draxhall.
Yes.
Remember? And he came and complained that he was not part of the process. That proposal, knew nothing about it. But here he was named as special envoy for reparations and economic. You would think that he would be one of the key people to go there.
Correct.
I mean, I think I've seen this. I've seen enough of the Prime Minister and her travel to conclude that there's a conference. There's not a conference to which she's invited, which she cannot say no. I have never seen any of the prime ministers travel as much as her yet. I know that working with Prime Minister Adams, and especially Prime Minister Arthur, he would sometimes ask me to go to fill in to conference at him because there were more important things to be done. And especially at estimates time, there's no way on Arthur would have left, or even Thomas left Barbados on prior to the estimates, days before the estimates, because they themselves, as economists, as trained economists, they would have been intimately involved in navigating, compiling, adjusting the estimates, especially the whole year. But I think because she's not she's not an economist, neither am I, neither are you, Ferdy, but that does not start her from being a minister for that. But so I don't know what has happened, and the reason why she can afford to leave because she's not intimately involved in the nit and gritty and the nuts and bolts of compiling the budget, which is really the estimate for the year. So other people, she comes and get a brief, and she really will come and voice their people's, the presentation of other people. But today was the first day of the estimates for the year. I don't know if you watch any of it.
I didn't get a chance, unfortunately.
Okay. And she was not there. Mr. Finance, Ryan Strong did some preliminary, but he was not there. Ryan Strong, yeah, he was not there. And that to me, that is again a dereliction of duty for the Prime Minister, who's Minister of Finance. But here, this is happening for you, and you can. Here's in your own country, of which you're Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, Minister of Plan Development, and there you are at a conference of talk
That's all
in
it is.
Ethiopia, and you can talk there, but you can't come and talk with us or to us in Barbados. Not because don't fool yourself. This so-called Ideas Forum is only another name for the Paris Speaks, which is another name for other programs which which is trying to set up a parade, a performance of those she's listening to people. We don't want that. We want to hear about Prime Minister. We want to hear about what's happening at whole town, because your senior minister, Mr. Dugate, who said a lot but very little about the whole rationale and structure the proposed abandoning of demolishing of the whole town, of that whole town, where the 400-year-old monument stands representing the 400th anniversary of the landing of the British at whole town. And Ferdy, today is actually the 17th of February, 1625. Today is the exact day in history, the 7th of February, 1625. I think there's an error, I think, on the monument where 1605, but it's really 1625. And here this whole thing is coincided now with the 400th anniversary. I think it's awkward, embarrassing, insensitive, not clearly thought out that you would seek to do this on the 400th anniversary of a monument and a complex around that 400th anniversary, where more public attention will be drawn to it because of the publicity it has triggered. Unless you didn't care about the publicity, unless you didn't care about the controversy, unless you feel you can write it out because of the numbers in the house. Because we still do not know yet who is the prospective developers. I've heard talk about some favorite surnames of Maloney and Edgell. That is the talk on the street. I don't know for sure, but that for this kind of occasion, really is very, very unbecoming. And the Prime Minister owes it to Barbados to come and deal not only with the whole town, not only come to deal with Joe's River. Do you know whether has Mr. Lewis ever told you whether she's ever favored the people of Joe's River, and so with an actual visit to Joe's River?
I don't think I've ever heard him make mention of her presence there.
because I know the practice and the tradition has been for ministers of who are responsible for town planning. I can even remember from Prime Minister from the short doing it, where
Yes.
there's a project which is controversial, about which there's controversy and discussion. You actually go for, you don't just rely on photographs or briefs or sketches. You or outlines. You go and see for yourself out. People walk you through the whole project so you can appreciate what is proposed and what people are objecting to. I don't think she's ever done that. And I think she has been she's doing herself. She's doing Grantley Adams, who set up the town country planning department in 1954. And the processes and the standards which other leaders and ministers of planning have developed and maintained and changed. I think she's doing a great disservice to not only to all the previous prime ministers in Barbados who have had responsibility for town planning. So what is happening to what I see a lot of things are happening at the same time. At the same time, this is happening where we are seeing the process where Barbadians quite justifiably are seeing that we are losing. We have lost. We are losing. At Joseph. Had it not been for the injunction from the court, so that is still pending. And the other things happening which we are not happy with. And don't forget, as you've probably heard me say in several times, the most haunting words I've ever read from a prime minister written is that paragraph she has written in a document which is putting Barbados up for sale for proposed developers, where she says they have modified and amended the Old Town and Country Plan Act to have a new Plan and Development Act, and when you apply, quote unquote, you apply with you in anticipation with, oh Lord, I've lost the word. I'm sorry. Where you apply in anticipation of in favor of development. So you are saying that you can very well say that I apply and it's almost all said and done. And she said that if you a presumption in favor of, you apply with a presumption in favor of development, and that if when you make that initial application and you make any errors or things that are not satisfactory in that original application, they will get back to you quickly so you can make the corrections and that you can therefore have an easier path towards development. So that is where we are. We are on the chopping block. At the same time, when we are dealing with the IMF, I'm making there are a lot of things happening together which show you the real true state of Barbados. We had been all the other prime ministers of Barbados and ministers of finance, except on Tom Adams in 1981 and Sandiford had avoided going to the IMF. But when they did go, it was for short-term arrangements, a year or two, which were not onerous impositions on Barbados, and we easily got over it. This prime minister and her government made it believe that we were going to a love relationship, a big romance. The IMF and everything will be hunky-dory, all our problems will be solved, nothing to worry about. They're doing what the other government refused to do, etc. The borrowing was no problem, right? I only know that we, as she said a few months ago, that she found herself where Barbados is borrowing from the IMF, and you have to you're borrowing loans to repay other loans, and that was not the impression we were given. That would have been the outcome of what was happened by going into an arrangement with the IMF. Let me make it plain. In all fairness to the IMF, they did not invade Barbados and implanted themselves in Barbados. The government, Prime Minister Modi's government, aided and abetted with people like Avinash Prasad and Dr. Kevin Greenwich, went and sought them out, brought them to Barbados. So they've imposed these new colonizers on ourselves because the IMF does not believe, and the people who finance the IMF is a business. It is not a benevolent organization that spends its time going around the world and helping countries in times of need. It's the lender of last resort. When you go to them to borrow, They lend you with conditions to make back their money, to make returns on their investment so that their
Correct.
shareholders can make money. So it
Mhm.
is not, it's not benevolent society, all right? It is a business. And their business is run by capitalists. The Americans control the IMF, the Americans control the World Bank, etc. All right? And they do not believe in anything nearly socialist or democratic socialism that we, and most of it in the Caribbean, but all of Barbados, the real development of Barbados started out with this acceptance of democratic socialism, which means that the government has a role and a duty and a boundary duty to look after the society, the vulnerable society, to meet certain needs that cannot be left and should not be left to the private sector. The IMF and the PRO believe differently. That's why the Americans always rail against even Obamacare, because they call it socialist medicine, because they feel everything should be run by the IMF. So we have now put ourselves in the hands where we have to, at the behest of the IMF. And the agreements that we've had, the BERT program, etc. I think we're now into the second program, which should probably come and then another year or so. There were certain conditions, as they call it, conditionalities, but it just mean conditions.
Yes.
And when you go into the kind of program, it is called, it's based on austerity, tightness of expenditure, increased taxation, you cut out expenses on social services, you limit because you have to make a survey,
Reduce employment.
a premium surplus to pay back their loans. And for years, when we were out of their hands, we were able to resist the pressure they put on us and the World Bank and IDB, those places. They felt that Barbadians were too entitled. We had too many entitlements. Or they felt that we shouldn't have free secondary education, free university education.
Free health
You
care.
should pay, free health care. Our buses were too low. The rents at the NHC were too low. All right? Okay. But we were able to resist that because we were doing well enough to pay all of it. But now we are under their control. I have to do what they are. They demand that we made circumstances. One was the state-owned enterprises, which we will call statutory corporations. This is a chance where the government was resisting the austerity, because austerity really, we were taught, in Barbados when King was sugar, when sugar was king,
Sugar was king.
and out of the crop season, right? When the crop is fair, you have hard times.
Yep.
When you hear austerity means hard time, hardship,
right.
rough time. That not when the
Tighten your
conditionality.
belts.
Precisely, that is what is happening.
Yes.
So here is this government now, in the hands of the IMF, in the hands of the new colonizers, and they want their pound of flesh. The government had put off dealing with the state-owned enterprises for a number of years. Now, if you read the IMF reports, from earlier they were saying you have to deal with the state-owned enterprises. They're kicking too much of a drain. What they call transfers, mean central government is subsidizing these enterprises. So they object to that. But meanwhile, they subsidize their farmers, their businesses.
That's right. That's right.
That's what people call corporate welfare. It's all for them to do it to their business, but countries like Barbados are not supposed to do it to help develop our own society, because they're not interested in developing our society. They want growth to repay their loans, but don't want development, because the development will make us less dependent on them. That is why that is why when once Barbados started to do well, and people like countries like Barbados, they're quote unquote graduated out of any concessional financing. So we know how to pay what they did to others. So it's a whole plan and plot. And now they've had a few, what was it, last week? Last week, when the House passed legislation amalgamating the RDC and the UDC. That has been state-owned enterprises, statutory corporations. The RDC, the Rural Development Commission, had been set up by Prime Minister Wainaata, where he saw the need that there are certain things had to be done in the society, which you cannot, if you have to wait on central government, it will take too long. He saw the needs in the rural parts of Barbados. Why they had similar needs as urban Barbados, they were different. So he set up the Rural Development Commission to help develop the rural areas, or as we were saying, Barbados, once country areas of Barbados, give them roads, eradicate poverty, start businesses, and those kind of things. And don't forget, this would have been building on the step by Prime Minister Tom Adams when he sold to rural territories, territories at 10 cents per square foot. So this
I remember that.
So enough was taking it a step further. You remember how that has transformed the housing, right? Like for example, he pressed upon us that we should in the country do that. He said every district should have, every neighborhood should have paved roads, and in areas that in the country where there were short roads, put in concrete rather than barricade, and they will last longer. You don't have to return. And that had been that was one of the functions of the RDC, and it has succeeded. That was 1996. The Urban Development Commission, its counterpart, came in 1997. He formed it when during the by-election in St. Michael Northwest. He paid a visit to, it was an air down Black Rock, and he was horrified that in an urban part of Barbados, people were living on dirt floors. There were some houses who did not have any floorboards at all. That shocked him. And he came shortly thereafter, he set up the Urban Development Commission to help eradicate those kind of conditions from urban Barbados. All right, so here the IMF now claiming that they're going to bring efficiencies, better delivery of services, as Minister Duguid said, within budget and within on time. But what they're doing, what they're seeking to do is to take out of the government's hand the role of helping the society, making it possible to develop the society in a way that we had done under the philosophy of democratic socialism, and replace it by the private sector. And here why I'm saying this. Well, at the same time, they were talking about amalgamating the RDC and the UDC for synergies and amalgamation and efficiencies, etc., and to avoid duplication, right? The Ian Gill, the general manager of the National Housing Corporation, he had it said that they are now becoming a designing facility for government. They're going out of building houses. They will just be designing houses and allocated on behalf of government, right? So you've taken that now, and the National Housing Corporation was the secretary. Remember the old call it the housing board. In the early days, I forget the original name, the housing authority, and then there was another name in the 40s, and it was a number name in the 40s which started public housing in Barbados. Public housing in Barbados, which even the mighty United States does not do much or any about. All right, that is why Barbados had one of the highest rates of home ownership in the world per capita. Started in 1940, 41 in Deacons Road, and then the next year it was Belfield. That is what started revolution housing for, again, ironically, under a BLP government. And here you have another BLP government with a different mentality, a different philosophy now, eliminating the work of the housing, national housing. They were not going to design and planning, right? I mean, not much has been made of that, right? But it really changes the whole nature of the operation of the NHC, and what at the time when they're supposed to be what 10,000 or 6,000 houses a year or 10,000.
10,000. I think it was 10,000 houses a year.
10,000. Yeah, it's
10,000 houses a year.
Hope, and they tried it with hope. Look what happened to hope. If you have shut down the NHC, which had built thousands of houses all over Barbados, for thousands of people over the years, okay, it has not been a perfectly run institution, but it provides social services to Barbados. And even in the United States, where they have they're trying to are shutting down, crippling UDC, RDC housing, because they have taken the step because government is no longer able to give any transfers, any service to housing. But in the meanwhile, they have the Housing and Urban Development Commission, in the United States, which employs thousands of workers. There's 10,000 workers on board that. More than 10 or 100,000 workers all of the United States, right? And but meanwhile they're doing that. They have that for themselves. I'm sure the President Trump will soon be paying attention to that. But they have a workforce of more than 10,000.
Yes, yes.
Right. But we are no longer supposed to take care of our most needy. At a time when rents are going up, when the cost of living has gone up tremendously, how would the average Barbadian get a chance? We used to have it was called the Housing Workers Credit Fund, which would provide loans that used to be run by the NICHOLS. After a while, it was depleted through some other activities. But that's not the point. It was there to serve a purpose to help lots of people to build their houses. If we give up that social service, if social service is given up, if you're having trouble with all the basics, bus transportation, education, health, housing, all the basic social services that the governments of Barbados over the years have provided for Barbadians and have raised us to an admirable standard of living in the world. We at one time, we were on the threshold of being considered by the international as a developed country.
That's right. I remember
Right?
that. I remember
Right?
that, GLYNE. I remember that, where we
So
almost lost that status of being able to receive certain aspects of funding because of how we were considered at the time.
Of course. So we have lost that. How much more time do I have?
Well, as a matter of fact, I just wanted to let the folk know there is a banner there for you to see. We're of course awaiting your calls because Mr. Murray is unpacking a lot. Mr. Murray is
Okay,
unpacking a
give
lot tonight.
give
Two
me
three
give
six 7,000.
give
No,
me give me a couple more.
we'll
Give,
continue.
give me.
We'll continue, Glenn, while we wait for the calls. When I see a call
Oh,
coming, I'll let you
okay.
know. All right,
I
but
I
236 7,000 for those of you who want to call. Please make
yeah.
sure that you call in so that we can probably ask Mr. Murray a question or make comments concerning what he's presenting. Just quickly before you go on, Glenn, there was a comment made in the chat concerning Barbados's profile certainly higher than it has ever been before since she took office. But I want to disagree. Her profile is higher than it has ever been before. That does not translate into Barbados's profile being higher.
But that alone, quantitatively with the social media now, it is much easier to get notoriety and publicity than before. So it doesn't mean that because the technology is such, anything can be forwarded and liked and things. So it
Sure,
is easier, right?
sure.
But I heard people say that she has put Barbados on the map.
That's a
Barbados has always
joke.
been on the
But
map. Even
Barbados
when
has always been on the map.
when we were a colony of Britain, Barbados was in the 18th century. Barbados was described as the fairest jewel in the crown of England
Correct.
because of the
Correct.
wealth that it generated for England, right? Barbados was on the map when
But
the to be president of the United States, George Washington, came to Barbados
yeah. But I grew
for
up. I grew up,
for
Glenn. I grew up hearing Little England.
precisely.
That's what I grew
But,
up hearing.
but we sugar made Barbados
Yes.
free and
Yes.
popular. Rum,
Yes. Yes.
cricket, Gary Sobers.
Yeah. Everton
So
Weeks.
no one, or reputation for productivity or standard of living
Yes.
or the quality of our public service. All those put Barbados on the map. We Barbados on the map when people left here to go to Carolina, to go to
Yes.
Africa. There's all that
Yeah.
was exporting Barbados and Barbadian and Barbadian attitude and values and expertise. So no one person, a Latter-day
Correct.
person,
Yeah.
who would only qualify because they're more in the public eye. that all the other people put together. So if you're there often enough, more people see you, more people get. No, it's not about quality of statements. No, it's not about achievements. It's about exposure. It's about celebrity politics.
Correct.
But
Correct.
but I also want to say that another thing that struck me when I heard the Prime Minister speaking in Ethiopia was that she reminded me of some things I used to hear her uncle Alambia Martin talk about. I think she's living his life. He wrote a lot of good books. He has good written material, has a good concepts about Africanity and Pan-Africanism. She has not lived it herself. She did not grow up in that era.
No.
I do not remember seeing her even as a young lady, a young child, school child, go to Yoruba Yard or whatever. So I think she's not living vicariously for her uncle. She's not trying to bring about, because there's nothing original that I hear her say that he did not say. I think she's living his writings and bringing to fruition what he himself was not able to do.
We have a caller on the line, GLYNE.
Okay.
We have a caller
Yeah.
on the line. So let's take this call.
Go
Let's
ahead.
see what they want to share with us. Caller, please go ahead.
Good night, Pastor Ferdinand. Good night, Mr. Murray. Good night.
Good
It's
night.
really a
Good
great
night.
pleasure to be here tonight. And I wanted to share on 2 points about yesterday's protest and also about the amalgamation of the RDC and the UDC.
The RDC and the UDC.
Yes. Yesterday's protest. The food was great, but I did not go for the food. I went for the protest. I went to let my voice be heard. I went to let my presence be felt. And I think that went down really well. This was the second time that I've been in the area, second or third time. And the amount of persons that I saw yesterday that were doing hiking, walking along the bridge, both local and tourists, I was surprised. And at the same time, I was thinking, why would you want to close off that area from public access when you can see with your own eyes how people, both tourists and local, are enjoying the area itself, whether they're hiking or just coming to get a dip in the river or whatever. Why would you want to walk? What common sense is there in that? And I think that the government needs to relook at what they're doing with this particular area and similar areas, because the tourists are now coming to enjoy Barbados, not just the sun, sea, and sand, but the interior of Barbados, what makes Barbados, and enjoy the beauty. Because I myself spoke to some tourists yesterday, and I was sharing with them about why we were there, and this guy was also talking about the fact that they also doing something similar in his country. He's from Czechoslovakia. I think that's where he's from, Czech. And he is saying, we were sharing with him about the fact that we want to share the beauty of Barbados with persons like yourself, but we also want to have access to such areas so that we can relax, so we can have a place to call our own, that we can move away from home and just go and relax and enjoy the company of friends and family. So I am pleading with the government, if they're listening, to relook what they're doing with this area and similar areas and cutting off public access to the beauty of Barbados from the citizens of this nation who have worked so hard to build this nation. The anthem says, these hills and fields are now our very own. Are they? If they're our own, shouldn't we have access to them, both the fields and the hills? So my protest, my voice continues to ring out in defense of issues like this, that the government to take another look at. Moving on to the amalgamation. Now, when I first heard it on the radio, my first thought was, I want money. I see it as a means of government trying not to have to pay out money. but to retain the money that they would normally be paid out to these individual entities. I am not saying it will work good. I will work bad for both entities. But if that's the case, don't come and say to us, they look at it and it's a better plan for them to be amalgamated. It will work better, etc., etc. If you're trying to cut costs, say so. There's nothing wrong with that. That's understandable. But we who are looking on have common sense. We didn't go to school to become fools. So I would appreciate it if the government, show a little, I don't even know what to say, mercy, common sense, I don't know, to the public of Barbados, so that they will know that, this is the plan, and we are in a place where we have to tighten our belts, but don't make it look like we are foolish. We're not.
Ma'am,
And then
I'd like to say that
those who are going
it is people like you.
the part of it will be paid out.
Yeah, I want to thank you very much
Those are the two issues that I wanted to talk about.
Thank you very much for your verbal and physical support at St. Joe's River, and also tonight. Because let me read my notes I made on what Ian Gill said about the NHC. He said they're revamping the NHC. He said in future all of government's plan will be done by planning and design will be done by NHC. It's going to be a planning, design, and asset management company, not restricted to housing. They should be responsible for planning, design, but no longer responsible for housing construction. As he said, it will be a conduit. It will be a conduit for owning a home. A conduit is a vehicle. So it will not be building a house, but it will not be a conduit. I remember the NAC was at one time supposed to be a conduit too for what turned out to be hope. So we are getting ourselves into the trap. And about the RDC and UDC, unless you have another call for the RDC and UDC, I'm not saying that they were perfectly run. They were not perfectly run, right? But they were social service, and because they were first run, was not because of their nature as a state-owned corporate. It was the quality of the management, the political patronage, political interference, but by themselves, as a right in their own right, they were useful and effective instruments for Barbados' economic and social development. And they're going to be great loss to Barbados. We're going to lose jobs, right? And we're going to lose services to Barbados and Barbados. So don't people remember what they've done the same to RDC, BMC, a bit RDC, and the next one I think is on the book is the day is coming soon for poor CBC. CBC is on the chopping blocks too. That has to go. It's not an embarrassing shadow of what it used to be. I have a lot to say about that with the tanker. So all these agencies are on the block because they do not want the government to give any transfers. So I mean, it was the public. When they're transferring our money, not the loans. They're transferring taxpayers' money gotten from taxation, our contributions to VAT, national VAT and income tax, all those things that we have to, the levy, you have levy, all those things going to help provide. So therefore, they have no reason, no justifiable reason. You could have that really. This government is so wrapped up. They're such a colony. They're such a client. They so control the IMF that they have to take what they get. They can't demand anything. They have to go along and meet their conditions to survive to the next loan. Hello, you still there? Hello, I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you, Freddie. Hello, Hello.
Yeah,
I'm not hearing you.
You're hearing me now?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now. Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
Okay.
You hear me also now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hearing you. It's probably something wrong with my headset, because I was
Yeah.
saying to you that when I heard of the merger, the first thing that came to my mind was cutting wage bill.
Of course.
Not a matter of efficiency. I saw it as an International Monetary Fund demand to merge the organizations, merge government things, to cut your wage bill, because there's no way you're going to merge the RDC and the UDC and keep the same number of staff. That's just simply not going to happen. So it's going to put people on the breadline. We're going to see an increase in unemployment in Barbados. So that was the first thing that came to my mind. The other thing is, because I saw you made mention of the aspect of the IMF, with regards to the African aspect and so on. GLYNE, it concerns, and it ought to concern all of us, that we are not generating revenue. We keep borrowing money every blessed day I turn on the radio or pick up the newspaper, and I may be exaggerating. I am seeing another loan, but that is not translating into anything to do with the reduction of cost of living, the reduction on phone bills, the reduction on electric bills, nothing. I am just seeing increases continuously, and all of the travels, with all due respect to the Prime Minister, I think I saw an allocation of some $200 million plus. You can correct me if I'm wrong, to the Prime Minister's office. Do we have a breakdown of that, GLYNE, as to what that $200+ million is financing in the Prime Minister's office?
I've never heard of any, and I think people. I know the leader of the opposition has been asking for an account, a breakdown, but it is not forthcoming. And one of the things that has concerned me about that, I remember when I was in government, or in after, used to ensure that the travels, the tickets booked were rotated around travel agencies, so there was no one or two were hogging up the whole show. You can imagine what if a particular travel agency, although she travels a lot by corporate jet, etc., private jet, but I wonder who makes the money out of not only her traveling, but the ministerial traveling. Are the call it taxpayers for it? Are the other how many travelers are involved in the pool that's supposed to share in supplying these tickets to the ministers and delegations and what? That is a particularly big. But let me tell you what how Minister Duguay talk about. He said it's supposed to eliminate duplication, improve service deliveries on time, on budget, and on budget. That was rationale for.
There's a lot of long talk.
But while the UDC and RDC had similar roles, they were not exactly the same. As you would know, the nuances of country life on the road are in many areas different from city life, urban life. So they can, and it is hard to merge the two. But how do you create a culture, an operational culture and practice that will be able to span that divide efficiently and effectively to provide satisfying goods and services to people? How? People might be accustomed to something one way for urban and one, because the social methods and the slight differences and nuances between urban and rural way of life, outlook, etc. Right? So I don't understand how you can merge them as one, expect them to serve one. I think it's a major mistake, but that is the price we'll pay for it, because we brought it on ourselves by having gone to the IMF.
You spoke about these new colonizers, and we've been saying this, as GLYNE, for ages now here on the show. We've been talking about the new colonizers. So we broke off the shackles of the UK of England, independence 1966, republic I think was 2022, something like that. But then we find ourselves both in how we are divesting of our assets. You talk about government assets, but the government's assets are the people's
the public
assets. It's not the
assets, right?
BLP's assets. It's not
Right.
the DLP's assets. It's the people's assets. And so I find it very disingenuous that without any discussion, without any consultation with the people who you are supposed to represent, you are divesting of the assets of the people of Barbados, especially based on our national anthem, GLYNE. I think that is I look back to that. I look back to my national pledge to uphold and defend their honor, and by my living to do credit to my nation wherever I go. I look back at that and I ask myself the question: who's giving you permission to divest with our assets? Who's giving you the okay? Is that the only way you are thinking
Good
of
night,
generating
everyone.
revenue? We have another call.
Yes,
Hello?
please. Good night, everyone.
Yes,
Good
we're
night.
hearing you.
Good
Hello,
night.
good night. Okay, I'm calling to just make a statement. Why is it that our people of Barbados isn't standing up to fight for our heritage? We are losing every coastal line in Barbados, and our people refuse to come out, stay up, and let the people of the heads of government and so on feel their presence and let them know that we stand for our heritage and we need our heritage to preserve it for our children and future generations. Why is it? Barbadians, we need you to come out and stand up for your heritage. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Come out, people, and stay up. We need you. We need to feel your presence. I am so tired of coming out and like you see like certain members, they would come out, but we expect like a whole barrage full of people to come out and stand up for something like Joe's River, and all the other historical sites that we are going to be losing. Don't we want our Barbados anymore? That is all I'm really concerned about this.
It is said and
What is
felt.
wrong with people?
People are said to be afraid of possible repercussions from government. Is that your experience? And your friends feel that they don't want to come and show their face in public?
It is. Everybody is scared to show the face or to turn up. I don't know if there's, dragons everywhere or whatever, but people will get and, talk and talk, but they're not turning up for something like this that is so important. Our heritage, it means the world to us and for our future generations. We will die and leave this earth, but the young ones is who have to replenish it. What will they be left for them to replenish?
Exactly. Yeah, thank you so much, caller.
Thank you much, man.
Thank you very much. Again, GLYNE, this point she's making, strict guardians of our heritage. That's the point she's making, and that is enshrined in our national anthem.
Yeah, well, it just occurred to me that you have national heritage, and you also have familial or individual heritage.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. There's a beach house at the bottom of a hill. It's virtually next to St. Albans Church, the Upper Carlton.
Yes.
There's a beach house there. And therefore, I knew of that beach house. It used to belong to the Prime Minister's grandfather, Ernest Detmoy, way back in the 60s if I recall, when he was a reporter. I think he went here once or twice to do a story or something like that as a reporter. So the Prime Minister would have grown up, and she professed her love for the sea. I remember during the last campaign, or a lead at the campaign, there's a picture of her on some sea craft, enjoying the sea. Fine, that's her entitlement. So she's entitled. She therefore would know to have a family who had a beach house, and therefore she would have been, from a child, been exposed and enjoying the sea and the beach.
Yes.
She should therefore know that the same privilege and opportunity should not be taken away under any conditions.
Correct.
From Barbados, except that Barbados is so desperate for foreign exchange. You remember we said foreign direct investment, and they call it foreigners dominating island, because these people, I think, not only in projects, but I'm hearing there's a whole new class of investors and manufacturing businesses who have this disdainful attitude toward Barbadians, who are not prepared to comply with our labor laws, respect trade unions, engage trade unions, who only believe in, like the Americans do, contract for service, long-term, short-term contract, no entitlements, no NIS pay, no national insurance, no income tax. So,
Taking away the future of the people.
So if you make people believe that you're so desperate for their patronage and their input of money that you can apply with a presumption in favor of development.
Yeah, yeah. We have another caller line.
Yeah, okay.
We have another caller. We just want to get them on as quickly as we can because we're running out of time. So go ahead, caller.
Yes. Yes, good night.
Good night.
Ferdinand, panelists.
Good night.
Most respected Marcy Weeks. I'm calling this is a very serious, concerning thing. I don't know why is it that Barbadians is so afraid to come out and speak up for their rights. Because at the end of the day, BLP cannot victimize the whole of Barbados. So if we come out with unity, things could be done in Barbados. Don't care what political side you're on, but it's all for the future or for our children, grandchildren. And also, we want to know that we the foundation for great and better Barbados. So people need to get rid of this fear of BLP, what Man Molly could do, etc. Because BLP and Man Molly is just human beings like anybody else.
Correct.
But only thing, they're doing a lot of corruption, and we are here to clean up the corruption.
But that's an allegation.
Thank you so much, caller.
We don't have any proof that anything around the Prime Minister is near to corruption. But I know there's a perception, there's talk of that way.
Yes.
We are not saying that the Prime Minister is corrupt or anything.
No, not at all. We're not saying that.
That there's talk that there are people in the government in general who are involved in that. But if I may go back to this question,
just before you run to that question, but GLYNE, you remember the Prime Minister herself led large protests prior to the 2018 election, I think it was, large protests in the country. I can't remember the exact date. I remember her standing on the back of that truck. You'll recall it, GLYNE. We've seen the videos of it.
When they were told to wear right, when they were told to wear white,
yes,
march around right, all the employers, the unions,
unions and everybody joined together with her, and there was a call. We come and let your voice be heard, and all this. Now, when it is raised, people are afraid because of the threat. But you set the precedent.
Yeah, but the truth is, from my long association with politics and observing and involved in politics, they're from time to time been reservations of saying things for fear of victimization. But this
we seem to have another caller again. We seem to have another caller. I'm going to let you go right to your word after this one. Good evening, caller. Hello, good evening. Okay, all right. Okay, go ahead, GLYNE.
Yeah, the point I was making, for the first time ever, people seem to be more convinced that this possibility of being victimized is more entrenched and widespread than ever before. And people sometimes are not worried about themselves. I know people in government who are retired, right? But are afraid with expertise who could say and contrary to public debate are afraid because cannot do it. But they're not afraid themselves. They're afraid of their family, their children who are working on might have to find work. So I understand that real thing. But I've never seen it so deep and so long and so widespread. Because I tell you why, for all her big talk and bravado, the Prime Minister does not like to be unpopular for a minute. Does not like the people that people don't like her or they critic. I know from my own experiences with her, right? So therefore, you do what you do to maintain your dominance, right, in all areas of life, right? And therefore, people and they make and when you see the thing about government is that you have the power of patronage, and when you have the power of you can allocate things to my that term I call it like you on family, friends, and fornicators. If you fall, you can either fall in it, if you don't fall in that, you're suffering, or those who might be affected can know somebody. So it's a
Yeah.
real societal fear. And don't forget, Ferdy, it might not be, everybody's perception is their own reality. It
Yes.
might
Yes.
seem not important to me or not, but if I think so and if I perceive so, it is real to me. It's real to my expectation, my fears for my family and others associated with me. So
And
we have
that
to take
ought
that into
not to be.
consideration.
And that ought not to be, Glyne. I mean, this is what democracy is supposed to be about. We see it, we see it fighting out in the U.S. I don't want to see that foolishness come here, that woke mentality. You have your view, I have my view. We should be able to share together. We should be able to have discussion, conversation, and then I will learn from you your point. You will learn from me my point. Who knows? We may find common ground that could be beneficial to the entire country. And this is the thing that annoys me, because I've learned down through the years. I made a point here earlier when you were speaking. When you talked about Mia not being an economist, I made this note. She's not an economist, but she's not a leader either. Because leadership.
What do you mean by leader or not a leader?
A leader is supposed to be someone that develops people and inspires people to
Right.
develop themselves and move themselves from one place to another, give them the facilitation to be able to do that. I'm not seeing that happening in Barbados.
And that is one of the major complaints about the present government and its 29 seats, that they're not seeing any group of people emerging as potential successors who have the strength to even go near that kind of level of leadership. But don't forget, I've heard the Prime Minister say, I remember hearing the Prime Minister saying in opposition, outside of Territorial Court one night, talking about, she was critical of Mark Maloney, how the Dems were giving all the work to Mark Maloney. And she said that when she gets in the power, she would give it some of the work. And then she said she made a point, he has to understand, people have to understand that all the big works must come through her. I think she said that at a by-election in St. Lawrence.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
So if you are saying that publicly, you are really, there are things that you might think, might even do, but out of consideration for public's regard for you, your reputation, your sense of propriety, your sense of fairness, you don't say. But when you say all the big works will come, in other words, if you want big works, deal with me, accept me, or whatever. And those are some of the flaws that in the Barbados society. But I wanted to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to change gears slightly. The Prime Minister is now back in Barbados, I believe, and there's a heads of government conference coming up. Because she's now chairman of CARICOM.
Chairman of CARICOM, yes.
When that was announced, all her surrogates and supplicants and people who worship her, or all her influencers, etc., peddle her the myth of her invincibility, or her superiority in intellect or whatever. They made it. But the point is, to be chairmanship of CARICOM is held by two persons. It's rotated on a 6-month basis. So eventually everybody gets to be chairman. So that is an arrangement. It is not that you are so popular.
No special aspect
that all the other leaders vote for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a myth that's being perpetrated on the public. And not only that, CARICOM works by consensus.
Correct.
Not by majority. So therefore, this talk then of her being this leader of church, everybody gets a chance at that. So it's not a big thing. It's not that the rest of the category, so wow, she's more outstanding, she has the most skill, she has leaders now. If you stay along long enough, you will get your turn to be chairman of CARICOM too. And then I heard her talking about, I heard the Prime Minister talking in Ethiopia about how we have to build sea bridges and air bridges between Africa and the Caribbean, Africa and Barbados and the Caribbean, seabirds and airbirds. I said this is all well and good, but that is a fantasy, right? That is a fantasy. When that's a political fallacy, as an economic fallacy, because she should be more rather promulgating such an outlook for where she was probably preaching to the crowd, playing to the crowd, because it's largely African gathering. So she wanted to establish bonds between Barbados, Caribbean, and Africa. But if she had looked wrong herself, she would say, but we do not have any sea bridges. You remember when you were younger, there were the federal maple ships that were given to us by the federal Canadian Parliament, Canadian government, when we became a federation. Caribbean leaders have allowed those with the collapse of the federation, with the sabotage of the federation in 1962. That those ships were allowed to go out of existence.
Out of commission.
So now we don't have schooners. We don't remember the schooners on the wharf and the motor vessels that
packing all the bananas and all that stuff. Yeah, I remember.
That. And apart from that, we no longer have an air bridge in Liat. I felt Liat should never have been allowed to go out of existence. They should have done whatever was possible to get it back on the air and going. Right.
We have another caller. Sorry to cross it, Glenn. We have another
no
caller.
problem. That's fine. We're here for the caller.
Quickly. Yeah, sure. Go ahead, caller. We'll come back to you, Glenn. Go ahead, caller.
Good night.
Good night.
I don't quite understand what's going on in this country. We've gone terribly wrong, right? You cannot have people around you that can't tell you when you're going wrong. You understand? We tend to want people around us that endure us in our wrongs. And even if we do wrongs, they can't tell us. A true friend is a friend that will tell you when you're going wrong, then we tell you when you're going right. We got some serious issues in this country that want taken after. You understand? Are we just sitting? Are we letting people do as they like? Right? You cannot bring a law to the people, telling people that if they say X, Y, Z, that it offend you. What constitutes an offense? You understand? You have to have a government that can accept being told when they are wrong. You say where you want to hear when you're right. We need to wake up. You understand? There's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. And I would also say we have to be diplomatic in the way we perceive of this. Right? And don't let the emotions get more than you. Right? We got land laying around here that needs to be planted with food. All they've seen is foundations being planted. Can they eat a foundation? I know of people that are trying to get land and cannot get the land. What is the reason for this? At the end of the day, COVID should have shown everybody that the number one priority was food. Because without food and water, you can't do anything. Because you need to sustain the body and be able to do things. If you don't have food, you can't do anything, and your mind cannot operate right if it doesn't have food. You understand? So I do not know where the people are in the mind, but I hope to God that the people wake up. And I would like the BIP administration to really have an open ear and hear what the people are saying, because it is not fair what is going on. And here then I rest my case.
Thank you so much, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution tonight. Glyne, you recall I had one or two exchanges with Arthur. I remember one time he said straight to me, I don't want no yes people around me. Straight like that. I don't want no yes people around me. I mean, you worked with him more than anyone else here on the platform. You were his personal assistant, I believe.
I was a minister of state. I was personal assistant to
Minister of right, personal assistant to Minister of State. Yeah, right. I think you can tell me if what I've expressed is incorrect or not, because he said that straight to me. I don't like having yes people around me.
Well, I know our cabinet, the more contentious and more important the issue was, the more you encourage other people to speak out. And like I said, cabinets normally work on consensus. There's collective responsibility. But especially if there's you go around the room and call on each person by name to have their say. right? I saw that on several occasions. So
Yes.
he was a person. He encouraged other points of view, and he liked a good exchange of ideas to tussle and whatnot. He never expected to be bowed down to. He didn't encourage it. Didn't expect it. But when that person was talking about food, I remember that we were promised food that Guyana was supposed to be selling us
A bread
food,
basket.
all the bread basket. We were supposed to get
Mhm.
food from Belize, from Suriname. No, I haven't heard about one rotten onion yet coming from anywhere.
Good
We send
night. Good
sheep.
night.
Yeah,
Good night.
we have another caller, Glyne. Go
Good.
ahead, caller.
Yeah, hello, good night. I'm here listening to the show and motivated to call to give my 2 cents to contribute to justice. And what I want to say is there have to be accountability in the country. And when I speak about accountability, not just for the small people, but we have to have accountability for the government system. And I feel we need to upgrade it, where that when people do unnecessary things that doesn't make sense, that they hold accountable for it. And until we do that, we're having all these conversations all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We'll keep on
Caller,
talking.
caller, let me ask you a question. What are some of the aspects of accountability that you would like to see? How would you like to see that actually play out? How would you suggest that be done?
Well, thanks to you, we are borrowing money before people consent, which is a crime. So we should be charging the IMF because there is a part of the crime. Because the people, the last thing I heard from you guys, I think everybody might have to pay, I might be wrong, right? 3,000 or 4,000 per person. I don't have to get it right. That was a couple of months ago we had it on your show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think it had to be some sort of figure to clear the debts.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody should have to pay something around that figure. I'm not too sure. I might be wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
I think the
Okay.
figures are so high
Yes.
that even if you drop a little bit low, it's still disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we are paying the price for these stupid people decision to want to live, to figure that they have wings and we don't have any wings, or they're better than us.
Mm-hmm.
They're the same boat we in, because we're all Bayesian and we all come from the same ancestors, born in Africa. So
Mm-hmm.
all the amount of money they have, we are still the same. They're hurting themselves also too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thank
I
you.
just want to drop that there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
Thank you.
we agree. We
thank you
agree in
guys,
matters.
and keep up
Yeah.
the good work.
Thank you so very much, caller. And we agree, I think, Glyne, in the matters of accountability.
Yeah, because talking about accountability, one of the hallmarks of, and this goes back to your question that when you said the prime minister is not a leader, or probably implying a good leader. She's a leader in
Yes,
name, but the
absolutely.
quality of leadership,
Absolutely.
is that a good leader is like a good manager. It reflects on how you are able to manage your staff, your company, your ministers. You are their supervisor. You check on them. I remember I learned very early from both Prime Minister Adams and Prime Minister Arthur that when you engage in a minister in a discussion, especially if it has to do with his performance or his constituency, you any question you ask him, you already have the answer.
Mm-hmm.
So you would know if they're sidetracking, if they're lying, if they're not being straight. You don't
Mm-hmm.
ask well. It's like a lawyer then. You
Yeah.
don't ask a question unless you know what is not correct. And that is a hallmark of leadership. You know, you check, you supervise. But the prime minister is not in Barbados long enough for anyone given week or month to be able to check and keep track of her of 28, almost 28 ministers. It's not. And believe me, I also worry about her as a person, the impact of all this travel on her body. Imagine these long distances.
Yeah. And
It
time
must take a
changes.
toll.
Yeah.
And time changes must take a
Yeah.
toll. But while it might seem glamorous and exciting, you're a celebrity politician, celebrity leader, it can be doing some things to your body and your health that you're not aware of yet. And these things have to be taken into consideration because the human body was not built for that. That is an
Mm-hmm.
artificial construct. An airplane is an artificial construct by mankind and creation of mankind. It's not your legs or your lungs or your feet. So it must put stress on your body
Yeah.
especially when you're exposed to it
Yeah.
any given length of time and whatnot.
But
That's a consideration.
Glenn, I observe, and I think you would have seen in the Davos meeting, President Trump did not go there, and he used technology to speak in the Davos meeting.
Precisely.
And
Right.
I'm just wondering, we had all of this going on during the pandemic when we were doing remote work from home and all that kind of stuff, and people were meeting. I mean, churches, we were having virtual services and virtual online services and so on, all during the pandemic. So clearly, there's a possibility of addressing a conference without you having to actually go there, right? I mean, we have seen all of these leaders around the world doing that. Why do you have to fly there?
And I would support that, because having heard what the Prime Minister said in Ethiopia, the quality, the content, she could have done it by Zoom. It was nothing earth-shattering about it that she had to be there in person, right, to deliver it. It could have been done on Zoom. She could have sent her Minister of Foreign Affairs. She could have spoken about it on Zoom, save money, and spend more time in Barbados on the eve of estimates, preparation for the budget, etc. On supervising ministers. Because I understand even doing political supervision, because I'm hearing politically that while a lot of attention is being paid to the Dems and their political internal troubles, that all is not necessarily relevant to the BLP. I understand that.
I'm telling you.
I understand that we know that Edmund Hinks is going to be leaving, but particularly there, and they expect to be by election day, April, May or so. That's why Chad Blackman is there. That is a given. By then he would have qualified for his pension, and he's going off to London to be High Commissioner to London. But I understand that there's unhappiness in St. Michael's Central. At St. Michael's Central, we Trevor and Prescott St. Michael East.
I believe so.
Yeah, right. So okay, because they are attempts by the leadership. I understand, to try to force out to get Arthur Holder, the Speaker, to retire, not to run again. And the same thing is, I understand, being attempted, according to reports, to happen to Trevor Prescott, MP for St. Michael East. And I understand neither them nor their supporters in the constituency they're not taking it easy at all, because they think that people are not being to give a chance to go on their own right. I understand there's already a lady proposed to replace and breathing down Arthur Holder's neck. So, and that has not gone down well. And the last thing I heard, that there was a talk of bringing Chris Sinclair in to be campaign manager.
Yes,
the next election.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And all of that people, so when the BIPs are pointing their fingers at Ralph Thorne at DIP, listen to what's going around and take a look and see what's happening around them. These things have not broken out in public yet, but there are mumblings and grumblings going on around within the party and among the people. So
but Glenn, I can substantiate what you're saying, because I have been having conversations with people who I know were what we would call diehard Labour Party people, who are telling me right now, that they're done. They're done. They're just fed up with how things are going, how matters are being handled, how the Prime Minister is functioning. They're just fed up. Of course, nobody is able to stand up and say anything because of X or because of Y, and they're just tired. And I'm talking about people who were active people in the party. So I can concur with what you're saying, but as you know, Glyne, the Labour Party has always been good at not airing its linen in public.
Not really. You forget Marie Eckhart.
Yeah, but that was one piece. That was one piece of linen. But generally speaking,
no. Well, I say it all depends. All depends on who has the linen to display.
On who it is. It all depends on who it is.
Right. Right.
All depends.
Especially if you have a compliant press.
Yeah.
That are willing who are compliant, willing to carry certain things against and for, and not giving people equal treatment. It would seem that way that day. And there's a myth that it's been always good like that. Not in this present generation, right? But Go ahead.
No, I want to give you, because we got 3 minutes left, so I want to give you the last 3 minutes just to do your wrap up on what you are what you're sharing, because I know you had mentioned a couple of things you wanted to say. So let me give you that opportunity. And just before I do that, I just want to announce very quickly that the next Roadside Parliament is going to be next Sunday, and that will be in Whole Town. You listen out for some of the announcements down through the week on Wednesday night, Friday night, that we'll be sharing with you. But the next Roadside Parliament, which, the one was at Joe's River last Sunday, the next one is going to be this coming Sunday at Whole Town. All right. So we just want to let you guys know that that is going to be the case. And of course, we're looking forward to Marcia sharing. GLYNE, we've been having such a tremendous feedback on her newfound role. Mike, what is it called again? Mike on the move.
Mike on the move. Yeah. Very creative move.
Yes, very, very creative. So quickly, just before you go in, just an announcement there, reminder for you guys, all of you, that the next Roadside Parliament is going to be next Sunday in Whole Town. So go ahead, GLYNE.
I just want to say, I'm glad you mentioned Whole Town, because from all that I've been hearing from people and reading, etc., I think the government has underestimated
the response,
the intensity and the response, but especially when it comes on the heels of what happened in Joe's River.
Yes,
I mean, Joe's River is not exactly central, but when most persons can see for themselves that location of the monument and when the concert was being done, the thing is, like I said, a cultural atrocity. They can't believe that a government can be so insensitive. A government is supposed to producing promoting cultural tourism, etc. And apart from that, they can't get a straight word yet out of who the developer is, what's going to cost, and then we're going to do, right? But meanwhile, you heard her Minister Duguid saying that the deal is not done. The land has been acquired, but he doesn't know the sums. A lot of gobbling.
How is that? Seriously?
It's embarrassing. No, yeah.
No, man.
The land has been acquired, but he doesn't know the sums yet. How can you acquire
all this? You
don't know the sums? Right.
And you don't know who the buyers and who the developers are, and you're going to talk about the whole thing going forward. That's a joke.
One of my a very good Whole Town source tells me that where they are proposing to relocate the proposed center it used to be a swamp. It's a flood-prone area too. So the rationale, the justification given by Mr. Duguid in the House of Senate, that is danger of flooding, etc. The way they are proposing to relocate up the road, up the hill, is even just as bad. All that is a path to the sea. All the water comes off the ridge that flows to the sea. But all the constructions are in that part. So I think let us up the ante on this one. I think Marcia, especially with that video, has done a tremendous job on Joe's River.
Yes, absolutely.
Let us keep the march on.
Keep the pressure
There's a lot more work to be done.
Yeah. Thank you so very much. I really have to say, I have lived in Boscobel for not much of my life, a large portion of my life. And I've traveled that entire West Coast every day, going and coming school, and work. When I worked for Canada House, the entire West Coast was my area. And I don't recall, I know we used to have some floods in Whole Town, but I don't recall the area where the Civic Center is flooding. I stand to be corrected. I don't recall that. But I do know there were some areas that used to flood and so on down there. But I tell you, GLYNE, let's keep the pressure on.
Yeah, before you go, if you could give me 1/2 a minute. This is I want to refer to the words of Roadside. He had a song called the IMF Takeover. I don't know if you remember that.
I wonder if Dave got that word.
Take heed, know the money gone, all because of our greed. After Washington, scared as hell you run, put this blessed land straight in the IMF hand. Now it's plain to see trouble in the country, cause when they hold you and they squeeze you, there's nothing you can do. Oh mama, look what the devil do. IMF take over. Our trouble at Trinidad and Tobago too. IMF take over. Their only aim is to devalue. IMF take over. With all apologies to Roadside. They don't care about me and you. They don't. They got me they got me by the throat. We hanging on a rope. I wonder when we gonna recover, cause the IMF take over. Thank you very much.
I didn't even know Glenn could sing that well.
I'm a calypso morning in my own right, so I didn't want to do too much injustice there. I say, but that sound capture got me by the throat, we hanging by the rope. I don't know where we can recover, cause the IMF take over. I thank you very much for giving me that chance.
Thank you so very much, Glenn. Thank you so much. I mean, it's been a great,
You're
great
welcome.
night. I appreciate
it's a pleasure.
it so very much. God bless.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Thank you.
yes. Thank
All
you
right,
too.
fine.
Thank you too. And
Have a
folks,
good
I
night.
just want to
And
thank
thanks,
you,
Marcia, for
Glenn.
all her background. Thanks, Marcia and Dave, for all their background work.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. God bless.
Thank
And
you.
folks,
Good
thank
night.
you.
Good night, Dave.
Good night. God bless. And thank you all to Loyal Opposition for being here. Thank you to our guests from St. Vincent, because I know they're still probably watching some of the stuff here online. We want to thank all of you so very much. God bless you. Have a great night.
We were warned, but we didn't take heed. Now the money gone, all because of our greed. Off to Washington, scared as hell you run. Put this blessed land straight in the IMF hand. Now it is plain to see trouble in the country, cause when they hold you and they squeeze you, there is nothing you can do. Oh mama, look what the devil do. IMF take over. Trinidad and Jamaica too. IMF take over. They only aim is to devalue. IMF take over. They don't care about me and you. IMF take over. They got we by we throat. We hanging on a rope. I wonder when I go recover, cause the IMF.
Well, good night to everyone. Have a great, great night. And thank you so much for being here with us this evening. God bless. Bye-bye.